And here we are, everyone. It is part 2 of the classic Golden Era Simpsons ranking stream, okay? I'm not going to mess around here with too much preamble because last week was nearly 4 hours long. I want to get to bed at a reasonable hour tonight. So here's how we're going to do this. If you are perhaps parachuting in because you love Season 6 and maybe you didn't watch the first half, fairly self-explanatory. We have a tier maker stream here on the... I'm going to turn the music down. Holy shit. Or I think it's actually just loud in my headset. Or my headset, these poxy little earphones I'm wearing. Alrighty. There we go. Sorry, that was just a bit loud in my headset. Anyway. As you can see here, we have a tier maker website. It's fairly self-explanatory, ranking S, the best, all the way down to D, the worst. And this is going to be season 6 through 9 of The Simpsons. If you missed the first half, it is up on YouTube. You can go to my YouTube channel right now and you can see us rank season 1 through 5. And the way this works is we're going purely on quality, however you would define quality, okay? Laughs, characterization, animation, voice acting, voice direction, memorable moments, any of that stuff. We're not looking for most famous or most referenced or most popular or any of that. This is just a pure quality ranking. And the way I did it last week was, and the way I did it at Halloween, we did a Treehouse of Horror one as well, is that I'm the judge, jury, and executioner here. My word is final, but I'm a fair man. I think everyone in the chat would agree I was very fair last week. I heard some cases. People were allowed to plead their cases. I heard them out, and I think I was very fair. So the chat can sway me here. I am a fair man. So we're going to do this as a community. The Barry section in full swing here this week. And again, one last time, if you weren't here last week, everything that's A or S ranked, okay, goes on to the grand finale next week. The grand finale, we are going to rank the best of the best Simpsons episodes, including one ultimate S tier episode. There will be one ultimate S tier episode on the final stream next week, so get your claws out ready for that. So, as my screen goes dark there because I haven't touched my controller, there we go. Yeah, we will get started here in just a moment. I should pull up my list because my memory is terrible and I will not be able to recall purely based on the images what each episode is. I may need you all helped last week, so you know exactly what I'll need from you guys here over the course of the stream. So we will get started here in just a second with season 6. Let me scroll down here all the way to the bottom, and we're going to go chronologically. That's the way we did it last week. So last week it was kind of like season 1 and 2 are not that great, so we filled out D and C quite early on. And then as the stream went on, A and S filled out a lot because the show gets better and better. This is probably going to be the inverse, right? Because we're starting with 6 and 7, which are arguably the best seasons, and in my opinion, the best seasons of any show ever. So we're probably going to get a lot of A and S early on. I'm fine with that. Let's not worry too much about evenly spreading across the tiers, because last week we had a fairly even spread. So just go with your gut, go with your heart. What do you think an episode is? And one final reminder is for those of you who watched last week, you will know it took us a while to get an S. We did not get an S until for quite a while. So S is, you know, S is basically perfect. So just keep that in mind before we get started here. What I've done for the last 2 of these streams is I've kicked us off with one S tier, okay, to set the tempo, excuse me, for what we're dealing with here. So I'm going to do that right now. This is mine. This is non-negotiable. Not hearing any detractors on this one. I'm setting the tone by putting an immediate S tier in here. And my immediate S tier is going to be... I think this isn't going to be controversial, I don't think. If it's controversial, you're all crazy. My immediate S tier pick is King Size Homer. Oh, Jesus, I'm going to have to drop it. Oh, no, my fucking keyboard's popping up and everything. I just about got the hang of the fucking controls last week. Because I am doing this on an Xbox because I'm a buffoon. Where the fuck did I put... Oh, there it is. You can't possibly have any grievance with King Size Homer. Oh my god, what is up with this controller? Holy shit. There we go. Alright, let's put it up here. Oh, the controller's freaking out. I might need to switch controllers because that's not great. King Size Homer is S tier. Oh, I'm actually going to switch controllers because this is going to drive me mental. Wait, let me try that again. Okay, are we okay, controller? Okay. Okay, let me see here. Okay, I think we're alright. The last thing I needed was a technical issue to kick us off here. Question about next week: is it just breaking them up again, or all of them ranked? It's gonna be like this. It's gonna be D through S again. It's gonna be a tier maker stream just like this one, but with the self-imposed, I will impose the limit of 1 on the S tier. Depending on how many episodes we end up in total after this stream, I may put quantity limits on the other letters. We'll see. I'm kind of flying by the seat of my pants for next week because it depends on how much we have. Okay. Yeah, Snowboy, I'm a little bit. I thought King Size Homer would be a unanimous S, but I don't imagine anyone will fight me too hard. Maybe you're. Wow, we're getting okay. I'm glad I said that this is one where I'm putting my foot down and going immediate S. Because I'm not hearing detractors, but I'm a little bit surprised at the A's. I mean, I love King Size Homer. King Size Homer also has. If you were to put a gun to my head, I would say my favorite single joke from the entire history of The Simpsons, which is Ralph saying, "I heard your dad went into a restaurant, ate everything in the restaurant, and closed the restaurant." Lisa saying he's not a food-obsessed monster, and then Homer speeds past in a stolen ice cream van, eating an ice cream. I love that joke. It's great. But we'll leave it there. So the way I do it is we put an S tier in immediately at the beginning, and then we will start ranking in chronological order. So the first one in chronological order is right here, Bart of Darkness. This is when the Simpsons get a pool, Bart breaks his leg, he gets the telescope, and he suspects Flanders kills Maude. I really like this episode. I think it's a good... Oh, god damn, this fucking controller is annoying the shit out of me. I think it's a really good summertime episode of a TV show, which I like. You know, it adequately portrays summertime holidays with the crappy TV. I love the old episode of Krusty, the rerun of Krusty with the labor crisis. It's hilarious. I don't think it's S tier because I don't think it's that level, but I think it's a pretty. We're getting pretty consistent A's in the chat. We're in the same ballpark, so we're gonna go A. Quick and painless. Oh, controller. That did not happen last week. What is that? That's very good. Tis a fine barn is great. Millpool is great. I like the mystery. While it's not really the main point of the episode, the mystery with the Flanders thing is well done. Yeah. So up next is Lisa's rival. This is with what's this character's name again? What's that character? I've already forgotten her fucking name. This is why I'm terrible. This is why I have the list here in front of me, because I'm terrible at remembering things. Lisa's rival, she gets really jealous about her. The diorama contest. You know, Lisa giving into the dark side a little bit and sabotaging it. Melissa? No, that'd be too on the nose if it was Melissa. Malicious Lisa? No. Getting some B's. C from Sean. Low B, says Sarah. I'm kind of... Dioramas are yank shite. That's the one thing about that episode I've never understood. If you're American and you're watching this, can I just say, we don't know what a diorama is. Only you people know what that is. The punchline at the end of the episode where Ralph doesn't know what a diorama is and he brings all his Star Wars figure, that would have been me. I would have bought my wrestlers into school and say, look, it's The Rock. That would have been me. I don't know what a fucking diorama is. A nice Ralph win at the end. I think I could go C. I think I could go C. That I don't know why that the little keyboard's popping up at the end there, but whatever. We'll roll with it. You guys are getting it. So okay, we're off to a solid start here. We're all on the same page. Everyone's friends. Everyone's friends. This is a really interesting one. I think it's probably going to be one of our first D's, but I really like it anyway. It's the Simpsons 138th episode spectacular. This is a clip show basically, but it's probably the greatest clip show of all time on any television show. You know, Troy McClure hosting the show from the Simpsons set. It's where they first showed all the Tracy Ullman cartoons. I had never seen them before that. It's first, I think the only time actually they've been shown on the show. It's got all the deleted scenes again before they were released on DVD, so you didn't get to see all those deleted scenes. The Troy McClure interstitials are great. Sean's asking, is this the music from Bart versus the Juggernauts? Yes. So I've got music from Simpsons Hit and Run, Road Rage, Bart versus the Space Mutants, Bart versus the Juggernauts, and Escape from Camp Deadly on the Game Boy, which I actually just played earlier today. The producer portrait's great. Yeah, I mean, Zig makes a good point. I was going to go D because I went D with all the clip shows last time. But this is so much better than all those ones. I think, yeah, Z at most, or C at most. I think C is fair. I was going to go D, but I think there's a case to be made for C. It is incredibly funny. They've got the NRA for everything, which is another one, an underrated little one. Okay, I'm really interested to see what the takes are on this next one. I don't know what my gut is telling me it's very high. The next one is Itchy and Scratchy Land. Bort, of course. We've also arrested your older, fatter son. God. Yeah. I don't love the ending of it. I'm glad they don't lean too much into the Jurassic Park thing, which they do a little bit at the beginning, but thankfully they don't go too heavy on that. Yeah, the birdseed, the mole man. God, the mole man one is like that's a reference you see all the time. I said on the last stream I wasn't going to rate them based on what has the best references, because that's not what we're doing here. But the mole man, that's too big reaction image, I see that all the fucking time. Zig says B. I'm getting A's across the board. My gut was saying A as well. When I was putting this list together, I think I could go A. I think it's worthy of being in the final stream. That's one thing to consider when we're doing these rankings here. Is again, if something is A or S, it gets to next week. If something is B, it's really good, but it's not in the grand finale. Do you know what I mean? So we'll go A on Itchy and Scratchy. Let me see here. Yeah, and also one other thing as well is that there's nothing set in stone until this stream ends. I reserve the right to change and twist and remove anything and lower it down. The Itchy and Scratchy episodes are almost all great. Yeah, Snowboy's bang on there. They are consistently very good. One joke I love from that is when the scientists like remove the Scratchy mask and it screams, and they just go, I wish they wouldn't scream. It's really great. Alrighty. Okay. I think I have a bit of a spicy take on this next one. I don't know how spicy it is because it's a great episode. We're going to agree on that. But the next one is Sideshow Bob Roberts, which is the one where Bob runs for mayor. Sideshow Bob runs for mayor with the assistance of a conservative radio host. I think this is neck and neck with Cape Fear as the best Sideshow Bob episode. I love it. It's got a phenomenal, well, they're all phenomenal, but it's got a phenomenal Kelsey Grammer. Okay, we're getting B's in the chat. I'm immediately outraged. I didn't think this was the one we were gonna fucking get into dissension about. I am shocked. This episode is great. I mean, maybe, like I said, maybe it's a little spicy to say that it's neck and neck with Cape Fear. Cape Fear is one. I don't think I would ever dethrone Cape Fear. I agree with McGee in the chat. I think it goes to next week. I think it deserves it. I love the Quimby stuff. I was actually just thinking before we went on air, what I love about the Quimby stuff is that they don't turn it into a Quimby's a great guy episode. It's like Quimby's a shithead, but he's the shithead we have to work with. That's why it's the best satirical episode of The Simpsons. It's the episode where they lean the most into, we think Republicans are evil and we're going to make an episode about how Republicans are evil, but let's be fair and also say that the incumbent Democratic candidate is the most useless, corrupt guy going, and there's no reason to vote for him either. I think it's great. I love the flames added by Channel 6. The court scene, lads. Those of you who are, the Cecil one is way better. Oh my god, what are ye smoking? What delicious sherry has Niles served you for you to think that the Cecil episode one is better? I'm gonna go rogue. I'm turning into a dictator and I'm ignoring this chat. The court scene. Let me tell you about the court scene, right? How about this for a joke? Sideshow Bob, did you fix the election? No, I did not. Come on! That's great. He's got the I deride your truth handling abilities. I think it's the best undoing of Sideshow Bob in any episode, because they trick him into admitting it's him, and he has like books, and he starts telling you about how the books are the greatest thing ever, and then after the big reveal of how evil he is, he goes, oh yeah, all that stuff I did when he's arrested. It's great. The whole court scene is great. Oh my god, I'm actually shocked. I'm actually shocked at this. Oh my god, we're gonna have to redo this argument when we get to the Cecil episode. Birchball T. Barlow, the conservative radio host. That's a great caricature. It's perfectly believable that guy would have died of COVID last year. Okay, it's a great conservative radio host. Oh, I'm putting it A. McGee agrees with me. What were the rest of you saying? B or C? Okay, you were all saying B, so I'm putting in A. That's reasonable. Me and Sean say it's A. The rest of you say B. Well, I think it's fair to put it A. My God, I did not expect this so early. My voice is getting hoarse already. Nobody said C. That's fair. I'll hold my hands up. Sarah, please don't unsub. Please. I bad need money now. Me sick. Me buy house. Me need money. Yeah, I gotta stop cutting promos. I'm opening my drink here. Feeling pretty raspy. Choking on my own rage here. Thank Christ we've one less season to do tonight. We'd 5 last week, we'd 4 this week. Alright. Oh my god, my voice. Okay, Treehouse of Horror 5. This is the Shinning, the Toaster Time Machine, and the teachers eat the students in detention. That's S tier. I don't think I'm gonna get too much resistance from the chat. That's S tier. Where is it? The shitting. It's S tier. You're not gonna fight me on this one. I know you're not. No one ever argues with the shitting. It's one of the greatest episodes ever. Sarah Flannery, you settle down in that chat. I will ban you. You control yourself. Alright. Moving on from that one. Up next we have Bart's girlfriend. This is with Jessica Lovejoy, Reverend Lovejoy's daughter, who looks like a saintly little Reverend's daughter, but actually she's evil. Just rewatched it. Couple of great bits. Great premise, obviously. Reverend's daughter is actually a shithead. You know, classic stuff. Couple of great lines, but I don't know if I don't know how high I would go with it. Sean says C, Snowboy says B, Zig says B. I'm actually between B and C myself. I wouldn't go actually. Yeah, Sarah says C. Flanders singing is great. Lisa just outright saying who it is when she doesn't confess is great. What else is there? I like Bart getting kicked out of the dinner is a great scene, but it's incredibly 90s, and in a good way, because the reference he makes is that he was watching Martin. You don't get much more 90s or yank of a reference than he was watching Martin on Fox, which is pretty funny. I do also love when I love that Lovejoy is completely unaccepting of the revelation when it happens, and he's like, Bart has put his room into Jessica's. It's a great kind of culmination. You know, and then she starts listing off her various crimes. It's good, but I don't think the episode on the whole hangs. It's also Lovejoy is an underused character. I like the, you know, that episode where he's really jaded and Marge becomes the advice, which we'll get to later, is really good. Yeah, it's C, but it's a high C, low B. I'm gonna put it C just because I feel like we're gonna have some tough competition for B's and A's later, so we'll put it C. Up next, I mean, this one I think it's a question of just how high does it go. Lisa on Ice. This is we on this one. This is the one where they both play hockey. They get very competitive, and then of course they hug at the end. Great. One of my favorite like setups for an episode is this is the one with the academic alerts. Me fail English, that's impossible is from this one. It's hilarious. Yeah, I'm surprised Sean's going S on this, because I would consider this a sappy episode. The big climax at the end where they both realize they just love each other and they just hug it out. It's great. It has so much. It's an incredibly dense episode. I think it works on basically every level. I think it's an easy S or a high A, but I'm leaning S, because it's probably one of those, if you were to do like Desert Island Discs episode of Simpsons, or put together a disc of 5 episodes you would show a person who's never seen The Simpsons, all the qualities that's great about it, you would include this. You would absolutely include this. Oh, it's got, don't make me run, I'm full of chocolate. When I was a kid, that was my favorite Simpsons joke, and it's still great. It's still great, but I couldn't. Oh, I think I see what my issue is here with this fucking. There we go. Okay, hopefully that's not the keyboard issue. We'll go S on that one. The good thing about watching The Simpsons, like rewatching it now on like Disney and stuff, is you do realize, like, holy shit, there was that much stuff in those episodes. Up next, another sort of iconic one, I would say, Homer Badman. This is the gummy Venus de Milo, the rarest gummy of them all. I really like this episode. It has one of my favorite payoffs ever. There's a million great jokes in this episode, obviously, but I just love that at the end of it, and I reuse this joke all the time, when they're watching the Rowdy Roddy Peeper thing, and Homer just goes, "Listen to the music, he's evil." It's great. It's a classic Homer doesn't really learn a lesson episode. I love it. I mean, and how can you top the rock bottom Homer interview? I mean, that's up there with what I said earlier about the Homer stealing the ice cream van. That's probably one of my favorite jokes ever in The Simpsons. The editing on the rock bottom segment, the touched her can. It's hilarious, and the pause and the pan in is like, it's still so great. The wife says D, Sean. What's going on there? That's outrageous. I think it's an easy. I'm agreeing with the chat. Rowdy Roddy Peeper is also a phenomenal pun. Godfrey Jones. Oh my god. Oh lord. It's just great. It's just great. Grandpa versus Sexual Inadequacy. This is the Miracle Tonic episode. One that I fondly remember from being a kid. I don't know if it holds up super well today. The one, like, I don't hate the B plot, but the kids wondering why they don't have dinner, and the reverse vampires, it's all like, nah. It's one of those B plots where it's a B plot specifically because it's just a second tier to the main story. It's not like the kids have their own adventure. It's kind of just like, let's fill up some scenes with them wondering where their parents are. I don't love it. It's a great Homer and Abe episode. I do love the quit your daydreaming melon head. Some really good, just grandpa just being a shit like 1960s American dad to Homer. Burning down the house at the end was an interesting thing. Jenda, thank you so much for stopping by. No controversial ones yet, Jenda. There was a bit of a heated argument about the Sideshow Bob running for mayor episode. Whoa, this page is having a problem. Oh shit, let me refresh here. I hope, please tell me it saved. Please tell me. Oh, it did. Hell yeah. way to go, TIERMAKER. Your website's pretty good. All right. Got these ads popping up all over the place. The Love Potion episode, yeah, the Love Potion episode is this one. Is the music too loud, lads? I'll turn it down a teeny bit if it's too loud. Turn it down a smidge. There we go. I'm feeling C on this one. I'm feeling C on the Love Potion. Sean says D. Wow, we're gonna zoom in a teeny bit here because there we go. Just because there was ads loading in. Excuse me. Yeah, the grim look into Homer's childhood is good. I can't go D. I'm fairly low on it, but I don't think I could go D. One joke that I love, and I referenced it a lot during the hit and run playthrough, is they didn't start chasing us until you put on that getaway music. That's a great joke, a great meta joke. Barney is the replacement Homer is nice, but I can't go too much higher than C. It does also have the Mr. President, someone finally bought your book, which is great. On last week's scale, it would have been a C. Well, we're not comparing week to week. You can use last week as a guide, but you know we're judging these on their own merits. You know, Reverse Vampires, I was negative on. It felt like, this is gonna sound like a weird complaint because they are kids, but it kind of felt like that was the episode where they wrote the kids just like kids, as opposed to like the funny characters that they're supposed to be. Anyway, we'll go C on that one. Fear of flying. This is obviously Marge goes to therapy for fear of flying. The establishing stuff here is really great. Homer gets kicked out of Moe's for spilling the sugar on the bar, which is great. And then they have the montage of the various bars. They have the Cheers scene in this episode. The Shishi Lounge, which everyone which is great. And then obviously the actual stuff with Marge. The crux of it, yeah, lesbian bar elevates this episode a lot. I think this is one of those rare episodes where I think I do think the you know Simpsons episodes have that structure where it's like there's like 5 or 6 minutes of like an initial plot that then segues into the main plot. This is one of those episodes where that first 6 or 7 minutes is the best stuff. Guy Incognito is amazing. The lesbian bar is amazing. The Cheers parody is amazing. The initial setup of the pranks in the bar is great. And then the Marge plot is not that great. I think it's okay. I do like the... Oh my god, what is up with... Is this my internet or what the fuck is happening? Having no luck here with this fucking website. Alright. Anyway. There's some good stuff. There's the monkeys don't write their own songs. I do like the montage of other things that might upset Marge. The plane attacking them in the cornfield. But yeah, I think this is fairly solidly B. This is our first B. It's an episode of 2 halves. Where is it? Here it is. Trying to pick images, by the way. I have to pick all these images. Oh my god. Why is this happening? Oh lordy. The funny thing is, the only thing that's like reloading on the fucking website is... Oh, it's not reloading. Is the ads. Like, are the ads fucking triggered? Uh-oh. Let's open a new tab here. I might have to quickly reorder all of this stuff. Hang on. Let me just... Technical issues here, everyone. Apologies. TIERMAKER. Oh, I don't know what is happening, but... Alright. Can I, like, download the page or something? Can you do that on Edge? On fucking... Probably not, right? I would not be so lucky. Nah. Hang on here. Okay. Okay. Thankfully, apologies for any football spoilers. Okay. I think we're doing okay. And let me go back here. Let me go back. Alright. Hopefully this stabilized. I don't know what was causing that. Anyway. Let me see here. Okay, here we go. Up next, so yeah, we said fear of flying was B, not C. There we go. Up next is Homer the Great. This is the Stonecutters episode. Paddling of the swollen ass. All the benefits. I love the initial stuff with Lenny and Carl doing the shut up bit. Grandpa being a communist. The No Homers Club is great. No Homers. And the name as well. The name of the Homer they let in. But you let in Homer Glumpklin. It's great. That's a pretty easy S, right? I mean, literally nobody dislikes this one. Snowboy says A, but if you go in A, you probably won't dispute it. An S, so we'll put an S here. As we imagine, S is filling up a lot quicker on this stream, but again, we're starting in the middle of the great seasons, so it is wall-to-wall bangers. I mean, that's the thing. 6 and 7, I think 7. I mean, I wouldn't begrudge anyone who picks 6. I think 7 is probably like the greatest season of TV maybe ever. So there's going to be a lot of S's on this. Up next, a sentimental favorite. So the non-sentimental likers won't like this one. And Maggie makes 3. This is, of course, Do It for her. That iconic visual. A great flashback episode. Basically, all the flashback episodes in the golden years are great. I mean, they're all great. Also, the flash forwards are pretty good too. I love the stuff about Homer's ideal job. The hiding that she's pregnant. The bit of pulling out the hair every time she learns he's pregnant. It's easy, yes. Yeah, McGee, you're on your own on this one, I think. I think it's a better sentimental episode than a funny episode, but it is also very funny. Supplicants crawling back to Mr. Burns, great bit. All right, that's an easy one. That's an easy one. We're getting through these at a decent clip here. Bart's Comet is next. Probably most notable for the ending, where they're all crammed into the Flanders shelterides. I like the initial setup though as well, where they launch the weather balloon, Big Butt Skinner, and then Bart is forced to do the looking at the constellations with Skinner. Very funny. I feel like it's missing something to elevate it to A tier. Seeing some B's, and I would agree. I think I really enjoy that episode, but it's I think it's missing a certain something to make it that upper echelon. There's not a lot in the middle, yeah. So they have the fun stuff early on where it's Bart and Skinner, and then they have this shelter stuff at the end. Oh, you bastard! My fucking thing is after crashing again. But the stuff in the middle doesn't quite hit. First episode of Day Day, I'm fairly sure, yeah. Alright. Okay, that... At the very least, this thing is remembering my ratings. If this was crashing and it wasn't remembering my ratings and I had to redo it every time, I would probably just be playing Fortnite right now. Yeah, Frank blowing up the bridge. It's good. It's really funny. I think it's just not... It is not a qualifier for next week, I would say. Let me see here. Here we go. This one is definitely a question of... It's just a case of how high does this one go. Homie the Clown. Homer Goes to Clown College. I mean, the best... I've used it for the image here. I'm seeing double here for Krusties. Maybe the sharpest bit of writing in the whole season. It's an unbelievable joke that I'm surprised isn't stolen more often by other shows. Homer just it's just the thing that he just becomes obsessed with. Is great. Again, a great Krusty episode as well. It's more of a Homer episode, but it's a really good Krusty episode as well. You son of a bitch! I really don't know what's causing this fucking. Let me Let me fucking go back here. I knew I was too fucking lucky to have this. I'm gonna just quit the app and just let's try and load into this here again. All right. This fucking internet. This internet that we call home. This is A. We got S's across the board, elsewise. So I think it's A. I mean, it's definitely A or S. I don't have any hot takes about it below that level. Is it as good as King Size Homer, The Shitting, Lisa on Ice? Yeah, it is. It is. It's as good as those. It's as good as those, absolutely. Alright. Next time I do one of these streams, if the fucking TIERMAKER app is still, or the website is still acting up, folks, we're getting a pen and a pad, and I'm going to just put my camera over the pen and the pad, and we'll do it old school, alright? Alright, Homie the Clown, Bart versus Australia. I'm going to call them Chuzwazzles, or whatever. Oh, that's a terrible squeaky-voiced teen. I think I like the phone call and the $900 dues. I think I like all of that stuff more than I like the actual Australia stuff. It's really good. It's very funny. It's one of those ones where their ridicule of Australia is so intense and mean-spirited that it loops around to just being silly. Bastard. I really like it. I don't know if it makes it for next week. I really don't. Yeah, I also would have thought I recently rewatched it, and I would have also thought better than what the rewatch would suggest. I'm kind of leaning B on this one. Knifey, spoony, coffee, beer. Again, I think it peaks very early. I love the phone call and the $900 dues, and the scene with the Prime Minister is great. And then everything after that, I could leave. It's below what I have at A. That's a fair way to look at it. It's below that. It's on the level with Bart's Comet. Let me see here. Bart versus Australia. Homer versus Paddy and Selma. Homer and his pumpkin stocks, his pumpkin NFTs. Goes to Paddy and Selma for the loan payment. Yeah, I like this one. I don't think it's definitely not qualifying for next week. Yeah, I'm leaning C. I just watched this one like yesterday. Like, I've already forgotten it. Pumpkin stocks are great. I don't know. Yeah, I didn't love the ballet stuff necessarily. I feel like it was a fairly obvious story, if you know what I mean. Bart has to do ballet. He doesn't like it. Then it turns out he's great at it. I like the ending of it where they beat him up anyway, even though he proudly declares it. I think that was cute. Love the animation of the IOU. Yeah, the IOU projection. Yeah, throwing out Paddy and Selma is really good. Throwing out Marge by accident is a great visual gag. I don't know if that's enough to carry it to B. In fact, as the list fills out, I always like to look at the tiers and say, where does it feel like it belongs? And I'm like, Grandpa versus Sexual Inadequacy, Bart's Girlfriend, Lisa's Rival. This feels like it's on that level. Yeah, I'm with Zig. You look at the list and it just looks like it belongs there. Homer laughing is great. Homer laughing is a joke that feels like it belongs in a better episode. I'll say that. That's probably meaner than I want it to sound. But yeah, I think it's a C. Let me see here. Up next, one of the most controversial episodes ever, at least in the writer's room. As I refresh the page here for the 50th time. I don't know what is triggering that. Is it loading new ads or something? And the shitty TIERMAKER website is getting overloaded? Anyway. Sorry for the technical issues, everyone. As I have noted before, I'm doing this on an Xbox because it's just not logistical for me to do it on the laptop. One of the most controversial episodes ever. A Star is Burns. This is the film festival episode with John Lovitz as Jay the Critic, the crossover to the Critic TV show, which I've never seen. What? Let me go back, see if that works. No, it does not work. Okay. Motherfucker. This fucking website. Can I get an option to... Is it... the websites don't have a fucking download fucking... watch offline option or any shit like that. Anyway, I won't try and fix this fucking on air, but it's annoying the shit out of me. Sorry, that's throwing me off now, this fucking shit. Sean says Max B. I don't know. I think it's frequently voted very high on like whenever you see listicles about it. I mean, for an episode they kind of didn't want to make, it's really excellent for an episode they didn't want to make. All the films are great. All the Springfielders films are great. Man Getting Hit by Football. Mr. Burns' one is great. Barney's film is a great pretentious film, though. If you want to satirize an Oscar winner, that is the one. You know, Boo Earns is in there. Senior Spielbergo is fantastic. There's the McBain stuff. I think it's extremely high. I think it's at least A. I can't go lower than A. It definitely makes it to next week. Alright, there we go. I can't humor the idea that it's lower than A. I'm surprised there's not more S's coming in the chat. I wouldn't personally have it an S, but I'm surprised. Man Hit with Football is really good, especially because it's Hans Moe, man. Up next we have the Flash Forward Future episode. The Lisa's wedding. This is where she goes to the what are they, again, another Yank tradition that we don't have here. Medieval fair, is it? Medieval fair? Renaissance fair, that's it, right? Jenda, you don't like A Star is Burns? What? Anyway, we're moving on to A Star is Burns. Pretty tepid on Lisa's wedding. BDC. I do like, you know, the scene where Homer meets Hugh's parents is really great. Octopussy, you know. Yeah, the flash forwards are way less consistent than the flashbacks. That is absolutely fair. Let me just... yeah, seeing... I don't know, I mean... Yeah, this is the piggy cuff links, and that's why she ends it with him, and it ends on a nice Homer Lisa note. Oh my god, the website is going crazy here! I have no idea what is causing TIERMAKER to go bananas. Yeah, I like it, but it is not hilarious. And yeah, I think it's the best of the flash forwards, but they are often not very good. Ironically enough, we're not going to get into them, but I think some of the flash forwards in the later, less good seasons are actually pretty good. Not amazing, but just generally speaking, they are of a lower quality than the flashbacks. I think we're going C here. It belongs on C. I haven't put anything in D yet. You might be wondering what it takes to get on D. you know, D is like, it's mediocre and there's an argument to be made it's not good. That's D. That was like, what was it last week? The season 1 episode where they get lost in the woods. That's D. Do you know what I mean? So if you're wondering why, you know, what's it take to be D? It takes to be arguably a not good episode of The Simpsons is what it takes to be D. Smithers and the Straight Pills. No, that is a much later episode. That's a much later episode. This is Smithers defrosts Mr. Burns for the wedding, and he breaks in half, which is a good joke. All right, moving on here. 201 Greyhounds. See My Vest, of course, which is not my favorite Simpsons song. It doesn't stand up to the test of time. You know, but Santa's little helper shagging another greyhound. I think it peaks early with a really great joke, which is the montage of the puppies being born, and they elapse all the time, and it's the last one. It's just one rather than 100 more. Getting some A's for that. Wow. Okay. She's the Fastest is in this one, which is good. Get that cat out of the way is a great joke. A great joke. I love whenever there's like a Simpsons animal related episode that the other animals always get jealous. The other animals are always annoyed or at Stampy or Laddie or the puppies. It's a great running bit. I wasn't expecting A, but like this is probably the most unified I've seen the chat all night. It seems like this one is a pretty comfortable A. I will listen to the chat. I was thinking a high B, but I will hear you all out. I think it's a great episode. I will not split hairs and put it in B. It qualifies for next week. I'm gonna like, I'm not gonna try and troubleshoot this fucking issue with TIERMAKER on air. It's better than the B's, I think is fair to say. Yeah, it is better than those. That's a fair way to look at it. The Pta Disbands is next. This is this Skinner and Krabappel at odds over the budget of the school. They go on strike, and all the fill-in teachers from Springfield. I feel like I remember this episode being better than it actually is. I rewatched it yesterday or the day before. I feel like it should be better. Do you know what I mean? The finger thing means the taxes is a great joke. Basically, all the references to how shit and poor the school is are very funny. You know, Lisa and Bart not going to classes. Lisa goes crazy because she doesn't have the, you know, affirmation of being in class. I don't love it. Marge is the teacher. You know, they just did that with the Whacking Day episode as well. You know, I don't know. Yeah, once the substitutes turn up, it's not great. I mean, you've got That's a Paddling, which is good. And then the ending is just kind of like, you know, they do a little prison joke. It's not really much of an ending. I realize it's The Simpsons, so you can't get too hung up on that stuff. But That's a Paddling is good. But I'm feeling C on this one. Yeah, I feel like I want it to be better. But when you rewatch it with modern eyes, it's actually not. My auto mod in Streamlabs has just held a message from Snowboy for potentially offending a race, ethnicity, or religion. Because he said cheese-eating surrender monkeys. Referring to the French, that is a groundskeeper Willy line. I'm going to allow that. Please don't punish Snowboy, Streamlabs. I will permit that term to be used. Alright. Where are we going next? Let me see here. Pta Disbands. Round Springfield. This is Bart eats a jagged metal Krusty-O, and Lisa bumps into Bleeding Gums Murphy, who dies. Yeah, I never really even liked... as a kid and even to this day, I don't really care too much for the Bleeding Gums Murphy episodes. I understand the purpose of it. It's to give Lisa an idol. It's to give her someone who inspires her for the musical aspect of her character. I love the Fabergé egg joke in this. I like the James Earl Jones stuff at the end. It's a cute story of Lisa wanting to go out of her way to play the song, and like defying like Lovejoy at the wedding at the funeral because she didn't know him. All that stuff is good, but I don't think it's I don't think it's great. The Bart stuff is good. Krusty eating the normal Krusty-O and saying it's poison. Yeah, this is again another one of those B plot is better episodes. I've just never really been into Blood and Guts. I think there's an argument for this to be D, and I'll tell you why I think there is. I haven't gotten onto season 7 in my rewatch yet, but I finished 6 yesterday, and I just watched this one, and it was kind of like, I never really skip episodes when I'm watching The Simpsons, except clip shows. But if I was to skip episodes, this would probably be what I'd skip. I just don't think it's that good. I'll go D on this one. Again, it's not locked in. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, compared to, like, I look at these episodes here in the C tier, which I think are... C tier is, like, it's still a good episode. It's the low end of the good scale, and then D is the one you could make the case that it's not a good episode, and that you'd probably skip it on a rewatch. I'll go D on this. Let me see here. So, we're coming to the end here of Season 6, thank Christ. The Springfield Connection. This is Marge becomes a cop. Some great stuff in this. All the training stuff with Wiggum is great. You missed the baby. You missed the blind man. That's all good stuff. The counterfeit jeans operation. A rare Herman showcase. We talked about this last week. Herman, for a character they established so early, Herman is so rarely used in the golden years. There's Homer parking across 3 handicap spots, which is just like, even in the golden years where he's like a shithead, but he ultimately means well. There's just some hilarious moments where he's like, he's just a dick. 3 spaces is great. Car hole is great. There is no, fellas, can we talk about what it means to be lads and to have lads banter? There is simply no better piece of writing in anywhere in television to sum up what it means to be guys being dudes than to make fun of someone for the way they say garage. If you say, it doesn't matter what part of the world you're in or how old you are, if you do not say garage correctly, relevant to your surrounding company and where they're from and their class status, you will be ridiculed for it. If you say garage in the company of people who say garage, and vice versa, oh, forget about it. Guy's off to the car hole. So I think this is a pretty good one. But yeah, I think that the police laughing is a great bit. Where Marge asks if she can be a police, and they like laugh her out the door and then say she's in, and then when she wants to quit they do the same joke again. Mcgruff the Crime Dog is great. Lisa asking why Marge wants to be a tool of the oppressive system. I will go B. I think it's really good. I don't think it's quite upper echelon. I think that's a perfectly fair spot for it. Let me see. This one, I think it's a question of how high does it go. I think this one's phenomenal. Lemon of Troy. This is Springfield versus Shelbyville. This is the lemon tree. Taste of Springfield, it's over! You know, my impressions have been horrific on this fucking stream. You know, Bart going on a raid with the other boys. I think it's like a great adventure. Like, you know, a great adventure episode. You've got Nelson and Martin. You've got Milhouse and the bag over his shoulder again. Like, it's such a great... That's a great piece of writing for a 10-year-old. Like, we invented wearing our bags over one shoulder. It's so good. all the stuff with Flanders RV, the stuff at the end where the Shelbyvillian grandpa is like, they banished the tree because it was cursed. It's fantastic. It's so fantastic. Somebody's attractive cousin, you know. Yeah, the two kids being called Millhouse. I mean, it's perfect. I mean, again, I'm not saying this is the ultimate criteria for the S tier, but when you think of like, put 5 episodes on a DVD and give it to a friend who's never seen The Simpsons before, this one's probably on there. This one's probably on there. So we'll put that up. That's S tier. That's S tier. Yeah, this episode has two really phenomenal trope subversions. There's the lemon-shaped rock, which is a great bit. I actually just saw a tweet doing the rounds on Twitter today, where someone just like, as much as I'm doing right now, broke down why it's such a great joke. Which obviously you rob these jokes of their magic when you do that, but hey, that's what I'm doing. Bart seeing the lemon-shaped rock and then the real lemon behind it, it's so clever. And then he goes to escape using the spray cans and they just ruin his shoes. It's great. It's great. Yeah, Lemon of Troy is dang near perfect. And that brings us to the end of Season 6, which is, of course, Who Shot Mr. Burns, Part 1. I'm not quite sure how to rank these 2 episodes, because I do think 1 is definitely better than the second. I don't know if that's controversial. I don't think it is. And it's kind of weird to break them up into 2, but for Who Shot Mr. Burns Part 1, I'm definitely going high on this. This absolutely qualifies for next week. I'll say that right off the bat. To me, that's A or B or S. Sorry. I love Part 1 because it's a great Springfield ensemble episode. You've got Grandpa, you've got the Simpsons, you've got Mr. Burns, you've got Skinner, you've got Moe, there's a little bit of Smithers embellishment in there. They kind of give his character a little bit more because he finally walks away from Mr. Burns, which is really a genuinely really great scene. You've got, I think, in the pantheon of the great Harry Shearer scenes, and I think I said on the last stream he might be my actual favorite actor on the show. You've got Burns coming in and, ahoy there, Dean. Be quite corking, which is a great word, to give the oil to the power plant, and then Skinner just going, Mr. Burns, and he goes, ah. It's great. The delivery is great. Smithers comes in with the stapler. That whole scene is incredible. It's so funny. And I think even knowing the outcome, I think structurally and from a writing standpoint, I think the way they build up the sort of vendetta everyone has against him, I shouldn't have put the controller down because I'm going to have to keep fucking refreshing this page. The way they build it up is so well done. Oh shit, I'm going to have to fucking something up there. This... This fucking TIERMAKER is going to be the death of me. Yeah, the way they build all that stuff up is great. Sean says both B. I was kind of thinking about this, if there's like a big disagreement about which one's higher or lower, I might compromise and put them on a middle tier. Sig says B, Snowboy says A, Jenda says B, Sean says B. I'm surprised at the B's. I thought this would be a surefire qualifier for next week. I don't know what I suppose we'll get into part 2 shortly. Zig also says both B. I could live with that because you know what? I think the thing is, I suppose it's probably pointless to put one into A or S and not the other because I don't think one part will rank highly next week and another won't. Do you know what I mean? They kind of have to be together to make it. So I'm kind of thinking, yeah, we might just compromise and go both B. Yeah. Yeah, it's incredibly unique. It's executed so well. Okay, I think you know what, we can change this. I'm really not sure how I feel about it, because I came into the stream expecting this to rank much higher, but I also can't say I disagree necessarily with them both being a high B. Snowboy, you do make a good case, but I'm not like. Also, the funny thing is, I'm tempted to put part 1 up in A, but the ironic thing is, the person rallying for it the hardest is Snowboy, but I also disagree on which one is better. I wouldn't put part 2. I wouldn't put part 2 up there. I would put part 1 as A, and I would probably put part 2 as B. Great Mr. Burns' evil performance as well. Like, not that it's deadly serious, but dramatic where it needs to be. I kind of want to put. I'm gonna put it up A. And again, I reserve the right to. I reserve the right to go back on these. Deserter says part 1 S, part 2 B. Wow. Put them up in A as a unit. Ah. But I just don't think B. I just don't think part 2 is that good. Because I think they nailed it in terms of execution, in terms of wrapping up the mystery. But I don't think it's that great an episode. Like, yeah, they do belong. You know, they do belong together. I think. Snowboy's a great negotiator. We'll fucking get Snowboy on fucking Link to the Cast Game of the Year. It'll be fucking 17 hours long. He's good at making his case. Alright, you know what? I'm gonna stick them both in A for now. You know what? That's a compromise, because I think a lot of people were saying B. I was saying A. Snowboy and Deserter were saying S. So I think a compromise is we'll put them both on A for now. And again, I reserve the right to change that. So we will switch over to season 7 now. Yeah, no, I totally agree that the 2 is weaker, but I also see the case. I see the case for them both being together. Like I said, I'm gonna review these before I finalize them, and we may separate them, but for now we'll keep them together. Who shot Mr. Burns? See, okay, season 7, episode 2, because episode 1 is Who Shot Burns. Radioactive Man. This is, of course, with Bart and Milhouse auditioning for the Radioactive Man movie. Milhouse gets it, Bart does not. I will say, now that we're officially into season 7, that oh my god, I think this website's actually getting worse. Oh lord. Okay. Anyway, okay. Yeah, you don't need me to do the summary on Radioactive Man. It's pretty comfortably an S. It's one of the best ever. The editing scene is my personal favorite. The auditions are great. Bart going taller. The stunts, the budget, the goggles do nothing. Quimby and Wiggum taxing the Hollywood guys. Flim Springfield. I mean, how do you, like it? It's one of those ones where you talk about bang for your buck. You talk about jokes per second. It's basically, again, get used to hearing this about season 7, but this episode is basically flawless. It's basically flawless. I love the editing scenes so much. I love where Milhouse leaves and they piece the film together. It's fantastic. And then the ending is so just like stupid, where they go back. They're welcome back to loving Hollywood as flop producers. It's great. Again, we're in endless banger territory here. Home Sweet Home Diddly Home. This is where the kids are taken off the Simpsons because they're viewed as neglectful parents, and they go over to the Flanders. The premise, the establishing stuff is great, where the kids are at school and they're getting ridden with lice and biting their tongue and all that other stuff. I love the culmination. If you want to talk about like great animation and the visuals, the Simpsons and the shitty river with the frog jumping over them, and then the Flanders being all angelic. Stupid babies need the most attention. It's great. Also one of those nice like slowly built up and constructed things that pays off really well. Like obviously they have the stupid "I'm a stupid baby" thing in the first couple of minutes, and then it pays off later. Okay, we're getting pretty universal A's. Snowboy says B, but he could see A. Yeah, we're getting A's. Jenda says A also. Where is it? Here we go. Again, here the image I picked for this one, Marge and Maggie. The animation of that whole final scene is beautiful. Maggie burping when Marge says she's a Simpson again. Homer getting baptized. Homer and Cletus in the class. Marge is like mortified she has to take this class where she's like, you know, being taught how to put rubbish in a bin, and Homer is like bonding with Cletus. It's great. It's great. Great. And you know, it has some nice sincerity to it as well, where they can't call the kids because they're in the Flanders and stuff like that. All right. Bart sells his soul. This is a weird one because it's kind of like, it's a great one. Obviously, it's definitely ranking high. I don't doubt that. This is a great one because it's a little bit more kind of. It's not really religious. Like, I don't think they're saying Christianity is great and you do have a soul. But is philosophical maybe the word? Because they're kind of like, yeah, like a soul doesn't like really exist, but maybe it exists in as much as you believe in it. And to intentionally mark yourself as a person without a soul would be a weird thing to do. It is also incredibly funny. The Pogs, this is one of the all-time great B plots in my opinion. Uncle Moe's family feed bag, with the stink lines and everything. Great Moe's subplot. And Moe's had a lot, especially into the weaker seasons. Moe's had some bangers, and Moe's had some absolute howlers. Uncle Moe's family feed bag is fantastic stuff. But stuff with Milhouse is also legitimately great. And again, I think, as is obvious from both these streams, I'm a sucker for the more sentimental episodes, and I do think that this is maybe the most ponderous Simpsons episode. Because they even have like Lisa the skeptic, like she's the logical, cold, scientific one, but she's like aghast at the idea of like selling your soul. I think it's great. I think it's an A. Snowboy says A, Zig says C, Jenna says B. Zig comes around to the B. On realizing it features the Mo stuff, Sean says A. The bit where his bike gets run over is insanely great. It's the joke that in the I'm assuming most of you have seen this. If you have not seen it, I would highly recommend it. Super Eye Patch Wolf, the YouTuber, he does a great video. There's a lot of videos on this subject. I think his one is my favorite, on like why the Simpsons declined over time. And he does a great analysis of why, at its peak, Simpsons was so funny. And he uses the joke of Bart's bike and the street sweeper as an example of how insanely funny the show is and how densely packed every second of the show is. And he talks about how the joke is funny because, first of all, Bart's bike gets run over by a street sweeper. Then you find out that actually it just cleaned the bike. But then no, the bike does break. And then you realize that the street sweeper guy was possibly evil because he does a maniacal laugh. And then he falls down the subway stairs, which is like 5 jokes in about 4 seconds. It's insanely great. It's one of the most like densely packed 4 seconds of television you'd ever get. Super Eye Patch Wolf's Shenmue 3 video is great. Don't be in denial and tell yourself Shenmue 3 is great. Anyway, this is A. This is A. In summary, this is A. Where is this one? Bart sells his soul. Oh, there it is. There it is. Bart sells his soul. That is an A boy. An A boy. Let me see here. Up next, Lisa the Vegetarian with Paul and Linda McCartney at the conclusion. For a sentimental Lisa episode, I think it's very funny. It's one of the funnier Lisa episodes. The lamb stuff, because they see the lamb at like the Storytime village, and it's like the shitty animatronic wolf, and Homer saying it's lamb, not a lamb. Seeing some C's, maybe a B. I think that's fair. I think for the high bar of season 7, I don't think it's the funniest. There's a correlation between saying Shenmue 3 sucks and saying Sean is better than Brett. I will not get into either of those topics right now. That's an outrageous claim, but I won't get into it. I don't love the ending, you know. I do like. This is like an under. I think it does fit with the C's, but hear me out on this. Hear me out on this. There are some things in this episode that you're probably forgetting. Okay, as Snowboy references, the video, the Troy McClure video, arguably the best Troy McClure video, Bovine University, and Is My Friend Crazy? Lisa ruining Homer's barbecue by sending the hog flying through the air, and there's the gag with Mr. Burns, I think I'll donate the money to the orphans. That's a great bit. And lest we forget, a great bit in the second half of this episode is when Homer's not talking to Lisa, and they have the dinner scene where he gets confused as to who he's not talking to. Lisa, tell your mother to get off my back. She storms out and calls him a carnivore, and then after she's left, he says, "Go to your room." That fight scene is fantastic. Deserter Dragon's gone much higher than everyone else. He's saying A. When Pigs Fly is a great bit. It is a great bit. I'm leaning more towards Deserter Dragon with this one. I'm thinking I don't know if it's A, but I'm more in line with you than the others. I think I'm probably going to go B. I think B is fair. Everyone else went C. My gut says B. Where is it? Oh my god, this website is fighting me today. Okay, we'll put it B for now. Again, I think actually again, this is a golden rule. I feel like relying on my gut is actually proving quite good. When you put it next to the B's, you go, yeah, that's a B. That's a B episode for sure. Let me open up back my list here as I refresh the tier maker again. Oh my god. Oh, here we go. Here we go, everyone. One of the more controversial ones. Hang on. Oh, this website. Oh, this website. My Jesus. Alright. One of the more controversial ones from the Treehouse of Horror ranking stream. Treehouse of Horror 6, which includes the Nightmare on Elm Street parody. The advertisements come to life, and Homer Cubed, the very controversial Homer Cubed. If you are watching this stream and you have not watched my Treehouse of Horror ranking stream, you can go back and watch that from last October. It was Homer Cubed was a very divisive segment, Jenda, you have the inverse opinion of myself. I love the Groundskeeper Willie Treehouse of Horror. The Groundskeeper Willie Nightmare on Elm Street parody is one of my favorite Treehouse of Horror segments. I love it. I think Homer Cubed is okay. I would say good. And I don't think anyone likes the 50-foot tall advertisements, with the exception of you, Jenna. You just said you care about the other two. I'm sorry, Zig is right there with you. Sorry. 50-foot eyesores is B, Willie is A, Homer Cubed is A. Oh my god, I feel like I've opened a can of worms here, but we're gonna relitigate Homer Cubed right now on this stream. No, I can't do that. I hate 50-foot eyesores. I don't think it's that good. Homer Cubed. Wait, hang on. Homer Cubed is shite. The others are good. Oh god, we're getting into the Homer cubed again. I shouldn't have done this. Hang on. Okay, let me. I'm gonna. This one's too divisive. I'm gonna parse this out in my own head and see where I land. Okay. Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace. That's the name of the Willy one. That's phenomenal. Hilarious. Great animation. A little bit scary. Do not touch Willy. Lousy smart weather. Great parody of a great film. Excellent. Love that one. 50-foot eyesores, don't like it. One of my least favorite. And then Homer Cubed, I'm somewhat agnostic. I'm in the middle. I think Homer Cubed is good, not great. And I think based on all of that logic, and my logic is flawless. You know my logic is flawless. I feel like I'm leading C on that one, on the whole episode. Yeah, Snowboy, that's one of my favorite stories from the Season 7 DVD, because they tell it about 8 times on the box set. First of all, if you've never listened to the director commentaries on those DVDs, they are worth buying the DVDs alone for, even though it's all on Disney+. They mention on about 5 or 6 episode commentaries, they go, we should have put this one in for the Emmy. We should have put this one in for the Emmy. Bart Sells His Soul, they constantly say it. Mother Simpson, they constantly say it. Home Sweet Home Diddly Home, I think they say it. They basically... Homer Cubed came out like within the same year as Toy Story. They thought that purely based on the incredible visuals and the concept of that segment, that they would submit that episode for an Emmy because it was so mind-blowing. And of course they did not win. But it's season 7 of The Simpsons. They could have picked literally any other episode and they probably would have won. It's great, and they're so bitter about it. It's great. Every like 5 or 6 episodes, they're like, this would have won. This would have won if we put it in. It's great. The song is okay. Sorry, they're still talking about but there's a good song. I don't like the song at all. Oh my god! Like this is literally the debate from October. Okay, I'm gonna put my foot down here. Hang on, let me do it. The pony stays. Wait, what tears did I say I was putting it on? I'm putting my foot down. I don't know where I'm putting it. Hang on. Where is it? First of all, okay. Homer Cubed. C. Oh, it feels really wrong putting Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace on the C tier. Oh, you fucking cunt of a website. Oh my god. TIERMAKER, not Twitch. I kind of want to open a different website on another tab and see, is it just TIERMAKER or is it it's a low C, it's a B. Oh my god, we're gonna be here all night. It's C. It's C. Alright? It's not a B at least. If it's a B, it's barely a B. Alright, nothing is final. Put your Homer Cube takes back in your holster. We'll come back to this towards the end of the stream, alright? Nothing is locked in. Foot is down, I said. If I pause the ad at the top, what is the ad at the top? Or this ad here. Let's see what that does. GenDef, that works. I owe you a Coke. Yeah, I think it is some kind of ad-related thing because I have my Streamlabs zoomed in a little bit here, but there's 7 million ads on this page, and I think what's happening is they're refreshing or they're crashing or something's happening. Yeah, I do apologize for the constant refreshing. By the way, last week, if you didn't see, I posted on Twitter a screen cap, but also a link. You can go to the TIERMAKER website. I'll post a link, and you can natively just see the full web page yourself. If you want to zoom in and closely dissect my choices. I must go back to last week's stream and put that link in the description, and I'll do that for this week's. I'll do this for tonight's as well on YouTube. Anyway, enough rambling here. But just to confirm, I will post the full results on Twitter after this is done. Next episode is King Size Homer. This is the one I put into the S tier immediately at the beginning of the stream. I absolutely love it. Hey, Little Miss doesn't find me attractive sexually anymore. The birds tapping the Y. The fish sandwich. The moo moo. The raspberry ice cream stolen ice cream van joke. No choice. Yeah, okay. Apparently, yeah, I am on the Xbox, so I guess this is just the shit I have to deal with. Unfortunately, again, I'm hoping to upgrade my setup soon for future ranking streams. I'll be on a PC hopefully, and I can go on beautiful Chrome with its beautiful ad block. Yeah. So king size Homer is S. C. Jesus. That was a Freudian slip. Up next, Mother Simpson. This is with the return of Homer's mom, Mona. Where is that one? Oh, here it is. Sean hates it because it's a sentimental episode, but it's way better than that. He's got the haircut you could set your watch to. Muddy May Simpson. Abe asking if he can have sex. Good flashback stuff with Wiggum and Burns. I think it's A or S as well. I don't know if it's quite S, but I think it's definitely A. B says gender A. No, A or S is not mental. It's a fucking great episode. It's a great episode. Eustace R. Dewo? Come on now. The ending is perfect. The ending is perfect. The ending is one of the best Simpsons endings ever. Ever. Again, this was the best example of the one they listed, where if they put it in, they would have won an Emmy for it easily. Glenn Close, right? Glenn Close for Mona. Very good. It's A. It's absolutely A. At least. I mean, I can maybe understand. I could maybe understand B, but I wouldn't agree with it. S says Zig. I don't know if I could go S. Well, tell you what, lads. What we're gonna do is we're gonna use my new method. We're gonna go by feel here. So we're gonna take Mother Simpson. We're gonna put it in A. And now let's put it in S. I'm thinking it's S, boys. I'm thinking it's S. I think it's S. No, listen. I you know. Thank you, Snowboy. Mother Simpson's better than Monorail. I have often felt like an outcast from the Simpsons fandom because I don't put Monorail on a pedestal. It's a good episode of TV. I don't love Monorail. I really don't. Mother Simpson's way better. Mother Simpson's way better. And I think it's a very well regarded sentimental episode, but the jokes are great. Johnny Unitas, all the flashback stuff. You know, I think it's S. It's not an actual bad episode. Sean, you are the most on an island I've ever. You are more on an island than fucking Tom Hanks in Castaway. You are so out there, brother. Let's not relitigate Monorail. Let's not relitigate Monorail. Let's not do that. It's fucking 9:30 already. For the love of God. Sideshow Bob's last gleamings. This is the one where Sideshow Bob wants to ban television. And all the comedy on the air base with the box kites. What else was there? Colonel Happablap, porno. Rock You Like a Hurricane. This is not my favorite Bob episode. But I do love the Krusty in the Alkali Flats riffing with just stuff in a shed to try and remain on television. C, B, strong B, B, A. I love Sideshow Bob. I do love Colonel Happablap. That's a great one-off character. Completely ridiculous. Great voice performance. Yeah, I'm... There's bits about it that are really good. In my gut, it's feeling like a B. It's feeling like a B. Yeah, the Krusty is the highlight. I think the Krusty in the desert is the highlight. What image do I have for this episode? Just think about TIERMAKER. It's just kind of hard to make out what each episode is. Oh, here it is. Sorry. I'm feeling B. I'm feeling B. The nuke and the blimp is very good. Yeah. Alrighty. Let me see here. Oh wait, the next one is the 138 Spectacular. I guess I ranked that prematurely, because I have it already listed. That was put that in C. That's weird. How did I manage that? Oh, you know what I did? I saw a clip show and I got mixed up. Because there was a season 6 clip show that I have not yet done. This one here, this first image here. Oh, sorry, let me scroll down a little bit more. This one here, which is the like where they talk about like romances, and it's a clip show where they show like Jacques and Mindy and stuff. That's D. That's a very plain clip show. That's very boring. So yeah, that one's D, and then season 7 is the 138th episode. That's C. That's a solid episode. So we will move on there. Up next, I believe this is one that I saw someone. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, clip shows are all D, but 138th is really, really fun. I think I remember someone slandering this episode on the last week's stream. This is one of my favorite. This is one of my favorite episodes, Christmas episodes of any show. Marge Be Not Proud. This is Bart shoplifting the video game. And the portrait and getting banned from the try and save. Grambiche. Love this episode. I don't know if it's necessarily a top tier, but I really love it. Don Brodcat is phenomenal. Don Brodcat is great. Oh, Jen, it was you. You were having a pop at it last week. I love it. I love it. I think Don Brodcat is a great performance. Another great story from the DVD is the bit where he sounds like he's having a conversation with Homer and Marge, but then you realize at the end he had to leave a message to the answering machine. Great story from the DVD is that the actor did not understand that joke. And so they were having trouble making him read it because he didn't understand what it was, and they were just like, just read the joke, though. It doesn't matter. Just read it. Great. He's great. Thrill-Ho is great. All the Bone Storm stuff is great. So perfectly of the time. Love all that. And then what's great as well is that later on in the episode, Milhouse has lost interest in Bone Storm, which is really great. Yeah, Bart shooting the bird is a weird. I'm not sure. Is that on this list? I think that's 10. All right, so it's Jenda and Zig against everyone else. But I mean, I don't think it is too moralistic. It's just a kind of like one of these tips it's giving me. You can open a new in private window. Well, no, I'm not cranking it here on stream. I'm on TIERMAKER here. Yeah, this is a pain, lads. I apologize for this. Although I think it's more of an inconvenience for me than ye. But I apologize for occasionally having to see a crash screen. It's no one's desire. It's not preachy. How is it preachy? It's like Bart finally getting fucking chastised for being a little shithead, you know. I'm thinking A. I love it. Pudding challenge is great. Oh, again, you're gonna tell me this episode is too preachy? It's too moralistic. It's so perfect. The big culmination, they make up, it's Happy Christmas, and then Marge gets him the potting game. Marge gets him the potting game. And they fade down. He lowers the game and it's her smiling face, and it's, what can you do? It's perfect. It's perfect. So he just has to lie and pretend it's good. Oh, Jenda and Zig. Well, you know what happened is you didn't get fucking chastised enough in your youth. I think that's what happened now. This is fucking A. This is fucking A. I'm not putting this in B. Merry fucking Christmas, prick. pricks. Alright. That's that done. Alright, Marge Be Not Proud. Team Homer. This is the Pin Pals episode. I'm straight away, like, immediately, jokes are immediately coming into head. Poppin' Fresh. A great opening gambit. All the visual gags of Burns bowling are great. The hand flapping in the air. It's all great stuff. Mo, like the fake out where Mo goes to pop the knee out, but it was already out and he pops it back in. Skinner's stew, yeah. I don't think there's any knocks against Pin Pals, is there, or Team Homer? Everyone says S, Deserter says A. You're the low man, but when the low man is even on an A, I think it's very fair to say that it's probably a fair S, I would say. We'll drop it there in B, in A, and then we will pop back up here in S. And once again, I'm looking at it. How does it sit, Barry? How does it feel in your gut? It feels good, boys. It feels good. We're leaving it at S for now. Let me see here. Up next, Two Bad Neighbors. This is the George Bush Sr. episode. My big problem with this episode is that there is a better version of it later in the show, which is the Frank Grimes episode. I like this episode. It's funny. It's an amusing kind of... It's an amusing swipe at Bush, but it's really for an episode that has a president in it. It's really not overly political. They basically just did Dennis the Menace, but with George Bush, and they get the tax hike jab in at the end. But beyond that, I think it's I think it's missing something. The title of the episode does sum up like my favorite joke, which is Two Bad Neighbors. When he paints the shitty banner and Flanders doesn't know what it is, it's great. Yeah, Zig and Jenda, you're aligned, but you don't hold the incredibly unresponsive Xbox controller, do you? No, that's the B-Man, so... Victory sip there for the man in charge. I'm feeling B. Snowboy says B. C from Sean. Zig says B. Jenda says high B. So we're in agreement anyway. We are in agreement on this one. I think this is a B. Very good episode. Not in the upper echelon. Notable for having George Bush Jr. and Jeb in there. You know, great cameo from the boys. And of course, everyone knows the Walton's Simpsons quote. Obviously, don't need to do that. The history lesson here. Scenes from the class struggle in Springfield. This is the one with Marge and her Chanel suit, and the illustrious status that comes from that. Really enjoyable B plot on this one with Homer and the golf and playing Mr. Burns in golf. I think that's a nice understory. As far as Marge stories go, I think this is one of the better ones. But I don't know if it cracks the top list. It's nice that it's kind of it's Marge acting out but not having a breakdown. Like, she doesn't accidentally steal anything because she's stressed. She doesn't have a breakdown on the motorway, which are her two other most notable episodes. She doesn't go on a crime spree. She doesn't cheat on Homer. She doesn't do any of that stuff. It's just kind of like it's Marge kind of having a I'm going to treat myself moment, and I'm going to look out for number one for a change, which I think is actually really cool, but I don't think it's the funniest episode ever. Shouldn't be there next week, I think that's fair. All you can do is laugh is probably one of the better ever jokes, I would say, that Marge has. Yeah. And nice ending as well, where she kind of realizes she loves the family for all their shitheadedness, which they do have. Yeah, but Burns and Homer playing golf is a really nice subplot. Krusty saying I knew my people wouldn't be welcome here, which is a thinker. Not really, but it's a good one. This is B, easy B episode. Oh yeah, Milhouse's teeth is probably the comparable, the other potential joke. Let me see here. All right, Bart the Fink is next, which is the one where Krusty is audited, loses all his money, fakes his death. Again, as they basically all are in the golden age. The Krusty episodes are kind of like the Mr. Burns episodes. They're always great. I don't think there's any Krusty misses in the golden ages. I love the immediateness and the thoroughness with which they show him getting immediately jailed when it's found out he's done tax evasion, which is great. The auction, where they're auctioning off all his stuff. Tempted to punch Bart in the face, fakes his own death. The public vote on the fiery death stamp is a great bit. And then I mentioned this as well on the last stream. So they have the episode where Homer has the triple bypass, and Krusty says this ain't makeup. I love that they carry that on, and in this episode, when he's disguised as Rory B. Bellows, like, his normal skin color is actually just face paint, and then his natural skin color is the white clown makeup. That's a weird bit they chose to keep going like 3 years after they established it. Handsome, have they gone back to Handsome Pete, or is Handsome Pete a one-time character? IRS restaurant is great. Homer putting the glasses on, getting the readers on, and filling out the form for the burger. I'm torn. This feels real. This feels real, straddling the line between B and A, and I don't know where it sits. Snowboy says A, everyone else says B, Sean says C. It's better than C. Alright, let's do the test. Let's do the test. Let's put it here in B first and see how it looks. Fear of Flying, Bart's Comet, Bart vs. Australia, Springfield Confidential, Lisa the Vegetarian, Last Leaving Sideshow Bob, Two Bad Neighbors, Class Struggle in Springfield, Bart the Fig. Oh, Zig's having Freudian slip. Zig, what is it? What is it, man? What tier is it going on, man? Come on. Snowboy says it's better than B. Let's keep going with the test. Let's keep going with the test here. Up it goes. Okay, Bart in broken leg, itchy and Scratchy down. Sideshow Bob Roberts, Homer Batman, A Star is Burns, Dalmatians parody, Who Shot Mr. Burns 1 and 2, Home Diddly Home, Bart's Little Soul, Marge Be Not Proud, Bart the Fig. Oh. Yeah, Zig's putting his foot down. Zig and Snowboy are going to come to blows on this one. Mitch in with the B. Mitch saying B as well. I don't want to get into how will it rank next week, because that's not what we're doing. I think it's fair to say this will not rank highly next week if it makes it. But to be fair, I don't think I want to get into does it qualify or not. I want to focus on is it A or B. That's what I want to focus on, you know. Star is Burns is way better. I would have argued S for Star is Burns if I was here. There was people arguing S. There was. My gut's telling me B. I think it fits with these episodes. I think it's Bart's Comet and like Marge is the cop. Those episodes feel like they're on par with that one. Snowboy, you're you know, I commend your case, but I'm not feeling it on this one. All right, we'll move on for now. Again, nothing's locked in. All right, Zig, don't rub it in now. Settle down now. Everyone behave in that chat. Don't make me start paddling you. Up next, Lisa the Iconoclast. This is the one where Lisa finds out Jebediah Springfield was Hans Sprungfeld. The town crier. Homer's the town crier. Donald Sutherland, a great voice, special appearance. I like it. Good episode about, you know, especially, some may say it's even more relevant today than it was back then. Good episode about how, like, Americans don't actually want to know the truth. They just want to be told the nice story that makes them wave their flags. And they go, yay! We were founded by a nice guy. Do you know what I mean? It's still relevant. More relevant today than perhaps when it was written. Back to you. Cromulent and Biggins, obviously. Very important joke in the history. The main plot is good. Homer as the town crier is okay. Getting pretty universal B's, and I'm feeling B as well. Again, yeah, straight away I'm looking at that list, and yeah, this is a B. Really, really good episode, but not upper echelon. Lisa the Iconoclast. Homer the Smithers. This has one of my favorite meta jokes, and it's really crazy to me that The Simpsons was doing better self-referential humor during its golden years than it does in its later years. When Smithers is filtering out employees because he's looking for someone crappy to replace him so that they don't do a good job, it's such an obvious sitcom conceit to lead to him getting to the protagonist, who is Homer. But obviously everyone who works at the power plant is an overweight, slovenly fool, so he can't filter the results down well enough, so he just says, screw it, I'll just get Homer Simpson. That is a better self-aware joke than The Simpsons has done in the 25 years since, and they are so up their own arse with self-referential humors in the later seasons, and that one from the golden years is way better. Absolutely love that. Is it about my cube? Homer doing Burns' mother. He's doing Burns' mother, and then Smithers going, and she doesn't call her son Mr. Burns, is just phenomenal. It's so good. The Smithers Homer fight scene is great. The montage of the cereal going on fire, all the stuff Homer like gets wrong, all the montage of all the terrible stuff he does. Burns bad mouthing him while he's holding the phone. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I'm between S and A on this one. Zig says S. Pretty universal A's across the board. Everything else. Come on, lads. It's about my cube. Come on now. We'll pop it in A for the time being, and we'll see how we're looking here. Okay. Oh yeah, the beginning, the sponge killing him, Homer winning the chimney sweep. Oh, that's great. It's better than A, lads. I'm looking at that list of A episodes. Itchy and Scratchy Land, Homer Badman, A Star is Burns, Dalmatians, Who Shot Mr. It's better than all of them. It's S. It's S tier. It is S tier. Absolutely. I'm giving Zig too many wins. He's getting big. He's getting too big for his britches. I'm gonna have to like put him in timeout or something. He's getting too many wins. We need to bust him down a peg. He needs to do some jobs. All right, I need to take his favorite episode and just put it in D or some shit like that, because he's getting out of control. Up next, The Day the Violence Died. This is Chester Lampwick laying claim to Itchy and Scratchy, which causes the studio to go bankrupt. I'm feeling my gut says B on this one. I really like it. I like Lampwick a lot as a character. Disagreements. We're getting A's in the chat. We're getting S's in the chat. An Amendment to B is a great song. It also has all the. I do like all the, and there's some in this, and there's some in the Itchy and Scratchy movie. I like all the every time they do a flashback of old Itchy and Scratchy stuff, and they like satirize like Steamboat Willie and stuff like that. All that stuff is great. I always appreciate that. Okay, look, seems like I'm really thoroughly outranked on this one. We're getting lots of high ratings for this one. Eliza and Lester is a great... Again, like, Simpsons were satirizing themselves in their peak years so well. Like, Eliza and Lester is solving the studio's problem and also rescuing Apu. Really great stuff. I guess I could see it for A. Let's see. I was gonna go B. I think it's better than the B's. George Bush, the Chanel suit, Lisa the... Yeah, it's better than the B's. I think it's better than the B's. Gold House and the Rocket Car. Yeah, it's an A. It's an A. That's fair. That's fair. I think that's fair. Okay, let me look at this thing here. Okay. Yeah, I think that's fair. Let me see here. A fish called Selma. This is Troy McClure marrying Selma. Probably the most, with the exception of the monorail, probably the most central Phil Hartman episode, where one of his characters is like a main guy. One thing I did not appreciate as a kid was all the implications that Troy McClure shagged fish, or that was his big celebrity scandal, that he was accused of shagging fish. Dr. Seuss, I mean, now that is a Simpsons song. Dr. Seuss, that whole scene is ridiculously great. Jeff Goldblum, great performance as the agent. The conversation about what to name the baby, which is again still relevant because celebrities are still doing that weird shit. I do not have an anti-Hartman stance. Sir, may I remind you, you are talking to the foremost Jingle All the Way fan. I will fucking put that title up on the line against anyone and no one will defeat me for it. I am the Phil Hart stan. Let me tell you. I'm the fucking Phil Hart stan. I recorded, with the Chair Shot Boys, I recorded an audio commentary. One Christmas we watched that movie and put out a podcast talking over it. I will not be challenged as the Phil Hartman. I am Brett the Hartman Hart. What? Anyway, it's listen. Okay, what's the chat saying? A or S? A. A's across the board. Across the board. I can't argue with that. It is definitely A. Looking at those B's, it's way better than the B's. Way better than the B's. The Contrabulous Contraption of Professor Horatio Hufnagel, which is a great fake film title. That is like something Wes Anderson would direct, isn't it? Like it's great. Okay, we're coming to the top of the hour here, so I'll probably finish season 7 and then I'll take a teensy break. I'll let you all go and get a beverage, and I will. I'll come back and we'll round this out. Up next we had Bart on the Road. This is like a really classic, simple kind of Bart caper, but that's just really funny. Bart gets the fake ID. He takes Nelson, Martin, and Milhouse on a road trip. Lisa and Homer bond at Kid to Work Day or whatever the fuck it is. And then they fly Bart back. Really like this one. Just again, like I said, it's one of the simpler episodes in a season where they get kind of out there and they bring back parents and they kind of satirize American history and all this other stuff. This one is just Bart goes on a stupid Bart adventure, but it has the sharpness and the wit of season 7, right? It's like a season 2 plot with season 7 sharpness, and I really love it. It's great. Back to Winnipeg. Great. Maybe the best Martin episode, like because he's so prominently featured. A feel good episode. Really like it. I like the scene where Homer finds out and he goes crazy. It's a great understated Homer crazy reaction. Bronson, Missouri. This ain't over. Let me see here. We're getting pretty consistent A's, I think. Yeah, listen, season 7 rocks. It's tremendous. Alrighty. Okay, what do we got here? 22 short films about Springfield. Incredibly popular. People love it. There's probably gonna be a lot of S's in the chat. Yeah, there's S's. I knew there's gonna be S's. I mean, again, one of their more like adventurous, out there episodes. Really weird, and a testament to I'm not being contrary. I have not been contrary at any point on this stream. Listen, I've been fair. I was gonna say A. But I'm a man of the people. That is the most universal S I've ever seen in this chat in the 3 Simpsons ranking streams we've done so far. So I'm a man of the people. I will put it S. I was gonna say it was A. It's definitely excellent. I'm not gonna say otherwise. It is an S tier episode. Don't you worry about the tone of my voice, sir. My voice is positively peppy. Alrighty, we're getting into the home stretch here. And up next, we got Raging Abe Simpson, and whatever the rest of that title is. This is the Flying Hellfish episode. Love this episode. A rare grandpa, well, I think maybe the only grandpa and Bart episode. Really great, kind of endearing episode for Grandpa, where he's not portrayed as he is portrayed as a fool, but still charming. Can't you go 5 seconds without embarrassing yourself? Absolutely love that joke, because it's them leaning into just really basic dumb humor. The pants fall down again at the end of that scene is great. Fun Boys is maybe the most problematic phrase that I'm sure we all use on a regular basis. Hey, Fun Boys! It's definitely homophobic. Absolutely. I mean, or is it German-phobic? Germany-phobic? Is there a word for being, for doing hate crimes on Germany? Because they are implying that maybe Germans are anyway, whatever. Yeah, the whole dynamic is great. It's funny. It's like legitimately a really cool like adventure for Grandpa, and as is the theme of the episode, it's kind of the sole example of you getting to see Grandpa being something other than a crank. Do you know what I mean? Or a doddering old fool. And as Bart realizes that, the audience realizes that. Isn't it wonderful? Okay, what are we seeing here? B B A A S A B. I don't know if I could go S, but it's definitely A. It is definitely A. Next week's stream is going to be hell, by the way. It's going to be absolute hell. Because we're gonna have to kill our favorites here. You know, these cannot all be S and A next week. Some of these are gonna have to go down. That's where I'm gonna impose limits on the tiers. That's what we're gonna do next week. There'll be one S tier, and I don't know the exact numbers yet, but there'll be limits on the A's and the B's. So you better get your fighting shoes on, because we've got to look at all these A's and S's we've had so far. Let me see here. All right. Much poo about nothing. This is the episode about dem immigrants, where they do the vote to eject all the immigrants. Spurred on by the bear tax, which is a really fun, basic setup for the episode. Again, like funny, but also, you know, a little bit satirical. I like the little twist ending where they all chant no on 24, and then of course it wins on a landslide, and they deport Willie, which is great. Yeah, getting some pretty B's. Yeah, it's B. The whole stuff of Homer training him and teaching him for the exam is great. Yeah, big fan of that episode. I do not think it's an A. I think it's a pretty comfortable B. Homer Palooza. This is one that I don't think ages super well. It's perhaps the earliest version of celebrities just kind of being themselves, and it's like a way less, even though it's the difference between sport and music, this is like a way less funny version of Homer at the bat. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I feel like they don't take the piss out of the musicians enough for my liking. Do you know what I mean? I like the stuff with Homer being out of touch. It'll happen to you, which is great. The Rasta hat is great. Homer being a narc. Yeah. This was a vehicle to get celebs on. I totally agree. They weren't nasty or weird enough to the celebrities. They all played themselves. It reminded me a lot of episode 300, which was the Tony Hawk episode, where it was kind of just like, these guys are just here just to be in the episode. And you know, I'm not saying it's completely humorless, but it is not up there. C, B, C or B, C or D. There we go, D. The chat is down on it. Smiling politely is great. Yeah, as Sean says. I mean, that's the thing. The bad episodes in this season, there's enough great writing in them to elevate them. It's definitely C. It's not going higher than C. I think we're in agreement on that. Is it D? Let's put. See, the thing is, when you put it in D, and it's kind of like, we've only got the Bleeding Gums Murphy dies episode and a clip show. Is it really that bad? I think that's the question you have to ask. Like even the Gen X fun poking early on in the episode that I do like I think all that stuff is gone once he actually does the freak show stuff. Once he gets in, once the stuff starts where he's taking the cannonballs, I feel like the episode is just, it's on rails for the rest of it. And I think the second half of that episode is maybe the weakest 15 minutes of the whole season, not counting clip shows. I'm actually feeling okay about leaving this a D. Is that really controversial? I don't think it is. I mean, because we're getting C's. I think there was even a D or two in the chat. What are we thinking? D isn't unfair. Yeah, I'll leave it in D. If we feel differently about it towards the end of the stream, we can change it. But I think some of them have to be D. That's a fair way of saying it, Jinder. They absolutely do. Okay. Last one for season 7, and then we'll take a quick break here just to refresh ourselves. What was it? What's the title of this one? Summer of 4 featuring 2. This is the end of season 7. I love this episode. This is Lisa making friends with the cool kids while they're at Port, or whatever it's, what's that place called? Flanders' holiday home. Obviously, this is a sort of Lisa coming of age story, sort of, but I also think it's absolutely hilarious as well, particularly the B plot, Homer and Marge and Milhouse and Bart playing the board game. This is maybe the best Milhouse episode. It's because they're just taking a shit on him constantly, he's this little loser, and it's really, really fantastic. And the Lisa stuff is great. I mean, the Lisa stuff is really fantastic. You know, and they ruin the car at the end, which is a nice bit. The Milhouse board thing is great. The dud. Also, one of my favorite Simpsons shitposting memes is when the hot meme at the time was to put the dud into places. Yeah. See you in the car. Yeah. It's okay. We're getting lots of love for this. I think it's a pretty easy A. Yeah. Look at it there. It belongs. All the notes around the Flanders house, the little touches to let you know that it's a shitty, boring Flanders holiday home. Alrighty, everyone, that's season 7. I need to pick up the pace here if we're going to get this done before midnight. Alrighty, let's get moving here so I can finish this at a reasonable hour, alright? We have to get cracking on season 8. Let me see here. Season 8. We might try and do a little bit of a lightning around here because I do want to finish this not at midnight. So we'll go through this as quickly as I can. Episode 1. Alright, first one here is Treehouse of Horror 7. Bart with his evil twin, Lisa with the cup of tiny people, and the Bill Clinton, Bob Dole one. Not a heavy hitter as far as Treehouse of Horrors go. Where is it? This one here. I'm pretty happy with C for this one. You know, if Homer Cubed and Nightmare on Evergreen Terrace is C, then that one has to be C, I think, for certain. I do like all of those, but I don't love any of them. Alright, there's going to be no debate on this one. I would imagine there'll be no debate on this one. This is an easy one that we can all agree on. You only move twice. I mean, that's S. That's S. You're not going. There's not going to be any argument. There's not going to be any argument. That's S tier. Hank Scorpio, Globex. Nobody ever says Italy. The controversial saying goodbye to a pair of shoes. Let's not litigate that at the moment. That's S. I'm not expecting any resistance on that. Alright. You only move twice. I'm curious what everyone makes on this one. The Homer They Fall. This is the boxing episode with Dredrick Tatum. Homer doesn't go down because he's got his weird brain fluid. It's good. I don't know. Like, it's one of those ones where I feel like I remember it being funnier than it actually is. It is good. I think it's a pretty easy B. Kid Mo is great. The Stinger, all that other stuff. Foregoing the national anthem for popular demand is a great bit. Good night, John. Thank you so much. We'll go B. That's a comfortable B. Yeah, if Apu doing the citizenship test is B, this is definitely B. Oh, here we go. C would be harsh. C would be harsh. Yeah, for sure. Here's a classic. One of my favorite cameos, or not even cameos, just guest starrings on the show. Burns, Baby Burns. This is with Rodney Dangerfield as Larry Burns. Obviously, all the Dangerfield stuff is fantastic. If this gets any more lively, a funeral's gonna break up is one of my favorite jokes. Frequently stolen. You know, this little wiener Millhouse is another great one. The simulation of Homer getting shot coming out of the cinema is fantastic. Yeah, I don't know if it's S. Although he is great. I mean, it's one of the best celebrity appearances. It's definitely A. I think it's easily A. Let's look up here at the S's. I don't think it's S. I don't think it's S. It's no lower than A, that's fair, but looking at those S's, I don't think it's S. Let me see here. Burns, Bart After Dark. Yeah, Bart After Dark, this is the Burlesque House episode. This is one of those ones, again, season 8 is where some people, you know, the real harsh raters would say that the show started to slip here. It's still a phenomenal season overall, I think. But I think Bart After Dark, the Burlesque House, I think that's a fair one to point to and say that it's not upper echelon. Snowboy's saying A, so he's disagreeing with me. I mean, I was Zig saying A as well. I'm on my own on this one. I don't love Bart After Dark. The you know, You Only Move Twice is S. That was an easy S. That was the easiest S of the whole thing. I'm shocked at the A's, lads. I'm getting completely overwhelmed on the A's. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. I was thinking it was a solid B. The song is good. I won't write. Let's put it up here and see how it ranks with the A's. That's B tier. I don't know. The grandpa hat gif is great. Barney Wiggum coming out twice, you know. Yeah, that bit is great. Lisa and Marge going to do the oil cleanup, and all the celebrities have done it. You know. It doesn't seem like an A to me. I'm not. The song is good. The song is good. You're not getting dispute on the song from me. Do you know where your children are? You know, I'm tepid on all of these. You know, I'm tepid on. I'm not compelled by these arguments, boys. It's feeling like a B to me. It's feeling like a B to me. It's not better than Bart versus Australia. It's not better. It's not better than the citizenship. It's not better than Apu doing the citizenship test. No way. I'm not feeling it, boys. I'm not feeling it. I'm gonna stick it in B, and we can maybe revisit it towards the end of the stream. But yeah, I'm not feeling that one. It's not better than the Apu. No way. No way. No way. We'll move on for now. We'll move on for now, and we'll lock it in later. Alrighty. What's next here? Okay. Alrighty. Up next, A Millhouse Divided. The Van Houtens get divorced. This has the absolutely incredible awkward party scene with the Pictionary game. The race car beds. Millhouse being the spoiled divorced kid. It's incredible. It's S. It's S. I can't imagine there'll be too much dispute on that one. Can I borrow a feeling is fantastic. It's S. It's S. We won't even. Cracker Factory. Yeah, Dignity is my favorite. The drawing Dignity is my favorite. Yeah, that's easy. We'll move on. That one's easy. Lisa's date with Destiny. That is Lisa and Nelson when she gets a crush on Nelson. I don't think that one's especially good. You know, Nuke the Whales. You know, Joy to the World. The Teacher's Dead. Is that? Did they make up that song? Is that the first instance of that song? Yeah, never bought it. Didn't feel like a natural direction. Felt like, funnily enough, it felt like the most recent episode of Dairy Girls. Oh, a satire there for that one. I did not like the romance direction in that most recent episode. That's another stream's topic. But yeah, C, D is fair. I'm getting lots of C's. I think D is a fair. I think D is a fair call for this one. Nelson is not a character that can carry an episode. Absolutely not. They do a weird episode later where in the worst seasons where like Marge like quasi adopts him, but like not really adopts him, but like takes him on as a surrogate like son to look after, and I just don't like it. I just don't think Nelson is a good character. He's a great character in his role as the school bully. He's not a character that can be fleshed out for an episode. Yeah, this episode, this is a fair one. This is another one where season 8 and early season 9 still have some incredible moments, but episodes like this are why people say season 8 is where things get a little wonky, you know. Even though it still has some incredible highlights, such as Hurricane Neddy. This is where the hurricane comes by. Great opening sequence where the Simpsons are in the basement, and then everyone's gets out fine except for Flanders. I love this episode. I love Flanders' meltdown. I love the stuff about his parents is great. Ned's heel promo, fantastic. Yeah, I mean, this is a reminder that season 8 is still fucking great, even though it has the lowlights. A is fair. Yeah. I also just love, again, and it's like, you know, we talked a lot about Flanderization on the last stream. This one, you know, they have him having his crisis of faith. You know, where he's not sure what he did to deserve all this. The house, the gags in the house, is fantastic. The one room with electricity and stuff like that. Where is it? Lenny catching strays when Lenny shows up is great. All right. That is that. The Mysterious Voyage of Homer. This one's weird because obviously all the trippy stuff is animated phenomenally, and the Johnny Cash voiceover is great. But I do kind of feel like it's a lot of really nice window dressing on yet another episode where it's basically Homer and Marge have a fight, and then in the end they realize they're soulmates. And I think it doesn't have the depth you would think it has, or you might remember it having if you haven't watched it in a while. Yeah, I kind of agree with Jen. I think the chili cook-off stuff is fun, and then the actual "is Marge really my soulmate" stuff is not nearly as fulfilling. I think if you fire that, because I remember loving that one again when I saw it back in the day. I think if you fire that one back up today, it doesn't have the depth you think it would. And now I include rating on animation for this. I think the sequences where Homer's tripping are great. So I don't mind putting this at C. It's definitely not D. I could even maybe hear a case for B, but Zig says B. You know, Flanders lying about his chili. You know, it's got good jokes. Your day job chief, whatever that is. Wow, this is actually this might be one of the hardest ones so far, because I think it's really well made, but it's very rote. Do you know what I mean? It's just another Homer Marge one, and far from the best. I'm gonna go C. I think B is getting fairly busy, and I'm fairly confident if people watch that one after this stream, they will agree with me on this. Johnny Cash was great. He was great. For you know, yeah, for someone who's like not, you know, for someone of his position. Serious Voyage of Homer. Here's one that I don't love. Again, on a recent rewatch, I don't think held up at all. The Springfield Files. This is the X-Files parody one with Mulder and Scully. Homer sees the alien. I love the Moe interrogation scene. That's obviously a great bit. I don't think this one holds up at all. It's kind of funny that The Critic is the really controversial one, where like producers like left the show because of that, and then this one just kind of came out. And this one's a way worse episode than A Star Is Burns. The jiggling is almost hypnotic is good. I think those two actors do a good job in those, you know, parodying themselves in that episode. I just don't. It's just not that it has to be deep, because it doesn't. At the end of the day, not every Simpsons episode has to be deep, but it really just feels like they were like, well, we're gonna get fucking Duchovny and what's her face Anderson in, so we have to write an episode around that rather than we have a great episode that they could be in. Snowboy says B. This is another one that I think if you haven't watched this one in a while, watch it. I don't think it's great. The ending is weak again. It's like, oh, it's Mr. Burns. Okay, whatever. Yeah, I'm thinking C. It is like a late day Simpsons where they kind of run out of steam and then the episode's just over. I like the sequence where Mr. Burns getting all the stuff done to him. I like that, but I don't think it carries it. I think that's C as well. It's actually interesting to do season 8 and see when it comes to neck cutting time to actually see where everything lands. Onwards here to 11, The Twisted World of Marge Simpson. This is the pretzel wagon episode. Marge has the gang of investors with all the annoying women of Springfield. She gets ousted. She starts the pretzel van. I love Fat Tony intimidating everyone. Skinner with the boking accident is great. I like this one a bit more than D, but I think C is perfectly fair. Jenda says D, Zig says C or D. Snowboy says C. The Season 8 drop-off is real. It's funny, when you watch Season 8, like, this episode I think is really watchable. Like, you don't go, oh, this is a bit shit. But now when you lay them out like this, and you're like, okay, is it on par with all this stuff in B? And you kind of realize it's really not. Like, it's really not. We're getting C's and D's. I suppose I'll make the call here. I don't think it's D. It has the big Yakuza Mafia fight at the end. The money. My wife is asking me where is that whole thing is great. You know, I'll go C. You compare it to 7, and this is crazy. Yeah. One that I think is a little bit bounces back a little bit. It's not amazing, but I do really like it. Mountain of Madness. This is the one where they do the fire drill. Homer locks everyone in, and so they go on a team building exercise on the snow mountain. And Homer and Mr. Burns are a team. I really like this episode. I think it's a really just solid caper. Couple of jokes I really like in this one is where's Ranger McFadden? Behind the drunk is a great one. The Homer Mr. Burns interplay when they're snowed in is great. Political powers dressing the snowmen. Smithers being really irritated by Bart and Lisa is great. All that stuff is great. I think it's really funny. Yeah, so the end is just kind of like Homer and Burns get out and they just glare at each other, and it's I think the ending does hold it back. I think it's B. I don't think it's quite A. But you've got some classic Mr. Burns writing in there. It also has Smokey the Bear. The you have selected you, referring to me. The correct answer is you, which is good. Let me see here. Mountain of Madness. Here's one I really hate. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can hear a case on this one for anything higher than D. The Mary Poppins parody episodes, Sherry Bobbins. I hate this episode. I think it's a really dull surface level Mary Poppins parody. Going back to the idea that, you know, the Simpsons are so annoying and intolerable, and I don't like it at all. I like her going into the airplane engine because it's very stupid, but the whole rest of the episode is so obvious and surface level. I have no time for this episode at all. This is a skip. Like I said about some of the other D episodes, this is a skip on the rewatch. I don't really have any time for it. Up next is the Itchy and Scratchy and Poochie Show. Again, another example that they still had some kick in them. Really great. Very funny that's a season 8 episode. Kind of, you know, a show being retooled, being past its sell-by date. It's meta enough that they did the episode, but it's even more meta that they put Roy in there. The Roy stuff is great. SSA. I actually don't know where I would land on. I'm gonna stick it in A for the time being, but let's zoom up here. Is it S? Roy is fantastic. Crab it with walnuts ugly is a great line from Homer. I don't know if it's S. It's really good. It is one of the better season 8 ones. It's not as good. It's not as good as You Only Move Twice and A Millhouse Divided. I don't think I can move it up to S. I can understand where the S's are coming from. I'm not saying it's an outrageous claim for an S, but I don't think it's an S. I don't think it's. This is one of those ones. I'll say this. this is one of the ones where I think its standing is probably helped by how well Poochie has endured as a metaphor. Because that's what's so great about the episode, and 20 years later, people still use Poochie as a reference for a forced meme. I don't think in terms of pure humor, I don't think that it's an S. I don't think. So I will say that. It's a good point by Snowboy. It's the funniest the show got while being gotten to about its criticism. Because in the modern episodes, they are very not funny while being gotten to. So that's fair. I'll leave it at A for now. Up next, Homer's Phobia. This is, of course, another fantastic celebrity spot with John Waters. Homer being befriending a gay man and then finding out he's gay and being horrified. I don't know if I can argue against S. It's really, really great. All the stuff in the second half with Homer just frantically trying to do manly things with Bart is great. John is a great character. Yeah, we don't need to dive too deep into this one. This is S. John Waters is phenomenal. He is phenomenal as a voice actor. I wonder, did he do any other animation stuff? Like, he's a natural. The Gay Steel Mill. I mean, it's just so good. All right. Homer's Phobia. All right, here's the one you were all going to bat for earlier. Another one that maybe you haven't watched in a while. That's why you think it's so great. Brother from Another Series. This is the Sideshow Bob, Cecil episode. I will say, I was slagging it earlier. I think this is a good episode. I like all the Frasier stuff. David Hyde Pierce is very good. I like the, by season 8, they're like, okay, let's do an episode where Sideshow Bob is actually being good and goes to jail anyway, which I think is a great ending. I think it's a great ending. Oh, Cousin Merle, really? That's a great Kelsey Grammer delivery, the Cousin Merle line. Yeah, love all that stuff. I think it scales with how much you love Frasier is a great way of looking at it, and I love Frasier, so S-A... Okay, I was having a pop earlier, but you know what? I will go along with the A's. I like that he says Maris. They got a Maris reference in right at the end, which is great. Cousin Merle. He ain't been right lately. Especially Lisa. But especially Bart. Great joke. Alright. Brother from Another Series. My Sister, My Sitter. I like this one. I think this one does capture the kind of chaotic, terrifying energy of being home alone when your parents or whoever aren't there and something goes wrong, someone gets hurt, something gets broken, and Lisa's panic as she loads Bart into the wheelbarrow. I don't think it's a hilariously funny episode, but I do like it. C or B. Brian says B. Yeah, an early season episode accidentally released 6 seasons later is a great way to look at it. It's very season 2. It's very kind of low stakes, but from the perspective of kids there. Yeah, it's not hilarious. It's not near the other B's. I think that's fair. I'm probably high on it relative to a lot of you, but I don't think it's a B. I don't think it's a B. Looking at Grandpa versus Sexual Inadequacy, Homework Cube. Yeah, it's C. It's a good C, but it's not a B. I like the dream sequence, as I do in all these episodes. Here we go now. Homer versus the 18th Amendment. This is the Prohibition one with Rex Banner. Rex Banner, a great one-off. Absolutely phenomenal one-off. No, can't knock him. Homer's schemes, coughing to cover up the exploding stills. Love this episode. This is another one where, again, it's a parody, but it's a parody laid on so insanely thick that it's just ridiculously funny. Like, I love Rex Banner. I love it. We will pop it up here to S. I think that's perfectly fair. Let me see here. Grade School Confidential. This is the Skinner Krabappel episode where they get together. One of the babies waved at me from Ralph Wiggum. That's a great line. The strike at the end, or the seizure at the end, where they steal or they lock themselves into the school, is good. The dance at the end is a nice little touch. Skinner saying he's a virgin. Yeah, the bees are perfectly fair. This is one of those. I think it's slightly better the more you remember it rather than actually watching it. That's a B. That's a B here. We're coming towards the end of season 8. I'd really like to get finished by 11 if I could. I'm not going to rush it, but we will try. All right, the Canine Mutiny. Oh, Bart being their errand boy is really great, bringing the message, and has to say he loves Krabappel and stuff. That's great. The Canine Mutiny. Bart gets the fake credit card and buys Laddie, and then gives up Santa's little helper when the repo guys come for it. I like this. I like Santa's little helper. I like all the episodes about how he's a stupid dog, because I love stupid dogs. I think the Laddie stuff is amusing. Him using the toilet is good. Again, the ending, recurring theme here for season 8. The ending, you know, the blind guy gets arrested. You know, lots of fun silliness early on with the credit card, but I don't think it gets beyond C. I think C is fair here. Mutiny, the Old Man and Lisa. Probably not one of the better Mr. Burns episodes, but this is Mr. Burns and the recycling plant. Great delivery on... I'll feel this one, Smithers. Shut up, little girl. Skinner knocking down the tree when he gets like 25 cents for all the newspaper. What else is there? Burns rummaging through the rubbish and everyone laughing at him and stuff. Yeah, I like this one a lot. No, the log with Lisa's head is a later episode. Similarly themed. She gets in with some environmentalists. You hate it, see? You don't like this one? The slurry, you know. I like this one a lot. I like this one a lot. I think B is fair. It's not elite. It's not elite. It's a lower end golden era Mr. Burns episode. His episodes are mostly phenomenal, but this is a lower end one. I'll pop it in B. Let me see here. Alrighty. In Marge We Trust is next. That is the one with Mr. Sparkle, which I enjoy. I think Mr. Sparkle is a nice subplot, and the main plot then is Marge becomes the listen lady for the church. Thing about that is, I don't necessarily love the Marge stuff, but it's a good Lovejoy episode. We were saying earlier, Lovejoy is underused. They do this is the episode with the flashback where they show Flanders calling him constantly, which causes him to lose his faith, which I think is a really, really well done sequence. I like the ending of it, and I like all the B plot stuff. The zoo stuff, is a weird ending. I like the ending where Lovejoy is acting like a badass in the church, but the actual zoo stuff is, you know, it's all right. I think this is a fairly solid. This is like a rock solid B. This is a rock solid B. Homer doing long distance in the library. Moe calling about his cat to the listen lady. Like that one. Alright, I can't imagine there'll be much argument for this one for S. Homer's Enemy. This is the Frank Grimes episode. I mean, I don't know if I can hear a case about this one being anything less than S. I think this is an S tier episode. What even would the argument be? I mean, it's perhaps the most cynical and like depressing episode, but it's S. It's so easily S. And it summed up really well on the director's commentary. They said this about the Bush episode, but this episode's even better about it. The entire premise of this episode is simply, what if a real person like you or I, like from the regular human world, was put into the Simpsons world? And there's this character that makes literally no sense by those metrics. Do you know what I mean? The Homer is intensely stupid and lazy, but he has the biggest house. He's been to space. He has a Grammy. It's like it's them reconciling with their own, you know, longevity in a weird way. You know, it's incredibly. It's weird because you could really point at it as being the genesis of what the fanboys call the jerk-ass Homer stuff, which is to say the point in the show where Homer's meanness and crudeness stop being redeemed, or he fixes it by the end of the episode and it just becomes isolated and he's just a sort of unlikable character. Because this episode, there is no redemption. He's definitely the worst of the two characters. The other guy dies. Homer falls asleep at his funeral. And it's bittersweet because it is a phenomenal episode, but you kind of feel like they learned the wrong lesson from it, and then the rest of the series is plagued by episodes where Homer is just massively unlikable. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's bittersweet. It's great. It's arguably the peak of the show because there's no real going back. I think ratings wise, it was the peak of the show. I think this was the highest rated show before the decline. Anyway. The Simpsons spin-off showcase. This is the one with the 3 segments. The first one is Skinner and Wiggum, which I actually think is really fun. The second one is Grandpa as the love tester, which is like a one-note joke that goes way too long. And the third one is the Simpsons doing the nighttime, the late night talk show, like almost like a Sonny and Cher variety show parody thing, which I think is a really good parody of that stuff, but I don't think it's especially funny. Jenna says C. Brian and Snowboy say B. I think B is kind of high for this one. I do love the Wiggum Skinner thing, because that's a great kind of crappy procedural cop show parody. Looking at these B's, I don't know. Let's put it in here. It's not as good as the Rory B. Bellows. You know, it's not as good as the Apu Citizenship. I think it's on par with look at these C's here. You've got the Coyote. You've got Lisa's rival. Grandpa versus Sexual Inadequacy. I think it's a C. The wraparound is good. The Troy McClure stuff is good. The fake schedule, the fake Fox schedule, that's just the Simpsons and X-Files is good. I'm gonna bump this down to C. I don't think it's hanging with the big boys. And then the final episode of the season, I think this is like perhaps the definitive C. The Secret War of Lisa Simpson. This is when they go to military school. I think it's totally watchable and charming enough, but it's not hilarious. It's not especially charming. Like, you know, Lisa overcomes at the end, blah blah blah. It's great, but it's not amazing. And I wouldn't rank it especially highly. I think I wouldn't skip it, but it's nearly a skipper. I think C. Yeah, C is fair. Yeah, the preamble stuff is good with Bart getting set up. Bart wanting to go home and when Marge is telling Lisa she can come home whenever she wants. Yeah, that is season 8. We got that done in nice quick order. Hopefully we can keep the momentum going with season 9. We will jump straight in here. Let me see here. All right. Season 9 kicks off with where is it? Homer Simpson versus New York City. This is one, I'll be controversial here. I don't think this one is perhaps as good as its legacy leads you to believe. Klav Kalash is great, don't get me wrong. I don't think this is as hilarious. I don't think it's S. I don't think I can reconcile with S, no way. I think it's really good. Klav Kalash is great. I like the montage early in the episode of Homer going to New York as a teen. I do like the musical. Actually, the musical's really good. I'm checking in the Betty Ford musical. haven't been drinking nearly enough. I'm getting very dry now. I think A is fair. I was tempted to go high B, but it would be a high B, so I can reconcile with A. I think A is fair. Haven't had A in a while. All right. Here comes the controversial one. Now, let me say my piece on this one. Okay, the principal and the pauper. Okay, this is Armin Tanzarian. This is the one that everyone points to as the turning point for the series. Let me say my piece. All right. I completely agree that it was a very poor decision, and I completely agree with it being a signifier of the downturn in care being given to the writing, right? I think retconning Skinner's character sucks. I think he's like an incredibly well-crafted secondary character. All the stuff with his mother in the early years, all the stuff with him secretly being like a badass in the early years. I think the Armin Tanzarian stuff does stink. And I think it was a very poor attempt to self-awarely parody the idea that every episode ends with things going back to normal. That flopped terribly. But, and there is a but coming, when you say all that and you get it out of your system and we all agree, we all shake hands and agree that it's a major downturn point for the show, the actual jokes in the show are very good. I think it's very funny. It's a very funny episode. Lots of great Skinner and his mother stuff. The bit in the car where they're going to Capital City. All that stuff. Up Yours, Children was great. I agree with Snowboy. I can go C. I don't think it's a D. I think it's simultaneously justified that everyone hates it for what it represents. But if we're talking about 22 minutes of television and the laughs, I think it's a C. I think it's a C. Nope, I'm putting it C. I'm putting it C. I think it's so... It's better than the Sherry Bobbins episode. It's better than the Nelson episode. These are... while they have less significant writing failures than the Armin Tanzarian thing, they're way less funny and they're way less good episodes. Like, I think people need to let it go on Armin Tanzarian, while I still acknowledge that they're not incorrect about it. Sherry Bobbins didn't ruin anyone, but Sherry Bobbins is arguably the first like terrible episode of the show. It's not even a terrible episode, and besides, we're not ranking what the episodes signify. It's how good the episodes are, and I think it's a funny episode. Silhouette Night. It's great stuff. So yeah, that's going to be controversial. I knew it was going to be controversial. It'll probably be controversial when I post the graphic on Twitter, but I'm sticking with it. I'm sticking with it. We will roll on to Lisa's Sax. This is not contrarianism. This is not contrarianism, because I said I don't even disagree with the problems people have. My point is that the 22 minutes of television are funny. That's my point. That is my point. And I agree with Snowboy, and I don't want to sound like the writers were quite bitter about this, because they are all on the record bitter about it, except Harry Shearer, who acknowledges it was wrong. But it is kind of like, I think this is a moment where fans realize they were perhaps overly invested. Not to say they were wrong. Up Yours, Children is funny. It's funny. Anyway, everyone's going to yell at me on Twitter when I post this graphic, but I'm standing by it. I'm standing by it. Lisa Sax is a cute, but I think forgettable flashback episode. I don't think it holds up. I think it's... They do a good job animating a cute little toddler Lisa, but I don't remember too much about it, other than Homer picturing Paddy and Selma melting outside. I don't dislike this one enough for it to be D. I think it's C. Not the best flashback episode for certain. I think this is another easy C. I think if you were to fire this up right now after this stream on Disney, you would be charmed enough that it would be a C. But it's pretty unmemorable. It's also like, it's a flashback episode where they don't do anything of major consequence. It's literally just about how she got her saxophone. It's not about photos of Maggie or Marge getting pregnant or the Simpsons getting married. It's you know. So we'll put that in C. Treehouse of Horror 8. That's Homer survives the nuclear bomb because he's in Herman's shelter. Bart, the Fly parody with Bart, and then Marge is a witch. I think that's D. I like the Fly stuff, but I think other than that, it's all fairly weak, and I think that's a D. If people want to, yeah, okay. Jenna doesn't like Treehouses. Snowboy says D. Fair enough. Yeah, D for sure. All right, we're in unison here. Again, this is one of the rare highlights late in the show. I don't think it's amazing, but I think it's a good episode. The Cartridge family. This is where Homer gets the gun. They go to the NRA meeting. Homer shooting out all the lights in the house, shooting open the can of beer. Where do they get the gun? I'm trying to remember what gets stolen that they. Oh, is this the did they go to the soccer riot? B is pretty brave, Snowboy. I don't know if I could go B. It's good. The soccer riot, yeah. Oh, the soccer stuff is, listen, as a non-sporty, I'm sorry, I do enjoy the Spanish-speaking announcer thinks it's the greatest thing ever, and Kent Brockman is incredibly bored of the two guys passing it back and forth. I know it's Yank shit, but I'm sorry, I love it. I love it. It was great. Okay, we got B or C. Snowboy. Okay, I think the B's have it. I think that's fair. I think it's a low B, but I think it's a fair B. Jesus, someone on the floor beneath me just slammed their door really loud. They're obviously very annoyed about the principal and the pauper. Bart Star, this is the Pee-wee football episode where Homer is the coach. I really like this one. Cutting all the players, Bart being crap. It feels like again an earlier season episode that somehow has landed here. I think this is a perfectly watchable low B, high C. One of those ones that if Disney Plus had a shuffle feature for Golden Era Simpsons episodes, which would be amazing. If you didn't know offhand what season this one was, and you said that seems like a season 6 episode, it seems perfectly viable. Joe Namath's car getting fixed before he can give Bart any advice is great. We'll go B. I like this one a lot. Again, very fun, very light, breezy episode, very, very watchable. The two, the Hasapima Pentalons, this is the Apu arranged marriage episode. This one's pretty weak on a rewatch. Apu's mother comes over, they pretend Marge is married to Apu. Like, that's one where I'm kind of like, are you doing a satire of sitcom premises, or have you just made a lazy episode? I think it's just a lazy episode. As I open my next bottle here, because I'm gasping. Yeah, that one is so by the numbers that I think it's actually not a satire. I think it's just by the numbers. So we will put that in the D tier. I hate to be predictable, but as we predicted like last week, Season 1 filled up the D tier, and now Season 9 is filling up the D tier. But that's just the way it is. There we go. Manjula is such a one-dimensional character. I mean, she really is. Lisa the Skeptic. This is the one where they find the angel, and Homer charges people to see it. It turns out it's a promotional material for a mall. This feels like this is a second string Lisa episode. It's funny. I think there are some laughs in it. Again, very watchable. But it's just kind of very forgettable. It's one of the ones where again, I realize I just criticize people for going too harsh on Principal and the Pauper, but this is the one where like the logic doesn't hold up under any scrutiny, and I realize that's such a stupid thing to say about The Simpsons, but it's just kind of like, they even make fun of it themselves at the end when Lisa asks the scientist why the test didn't show that it was a statue, a plastic statue, and he just goes, I didn't do the test. It's like, well, yeah, the entire premise of the episode hinges on you not doing the test. DC, yeah, it's I could float between D. I think it's more watchable than a D, but not by much. Where is it actually? Which one is it? Here it is. You know what? I think it's not as good as those C's. I look at those C's and those are way better than this episode, so I'm gonna go D on this one. Up next is Marge the Realtor. She gets a job with Lionel Hutz's realty company. A solid episode. I like this one. For a season 9 episode about Marge, which should be a recipe for disaster, it's really good. Some fun sequences where she's showing people shitty houses. Some great Lionel Hutz stuff. The truth is a great bit. And then the big... I actually really like the finale where she's torn on selling the Flanders a murder house. I think it's really solid. I think that's a B. I think that's a solid B. The razor wire bit is great with the sandwich. Oh yeah, the B plot is Homer getting Snake's car. Yeah. Let me see here. Miracle on Evergreen Terrace. This is a slightly underrated Christmas episode, I feel. The Simpsons really doesn't have that many. They have like 3 Christmas episodes in their golden years. Like, they've the first episode, they've Marge Be Not Proud, and then they've the Miracle on Evergreen Terrace. This is the one where Bart burns down the tree, and then the town has a whip round to replace their presents, and then they find out that Bart burned the presents by accident. I like it. I don't know why you hate it. I mean, I love Christmas TV in general. I'm a sucker for Christmas movies and well, I don't have a problem with Bart learning a lesson. That's 90% of the show. I mean, he's the bold child in the family sitcom. I like it. I don't think it's as good as Marge Be Not Proud. You and Zig are just anarchists, man. You don't like to be taught a lesson about anything. You don't like to be taught right from wrong. This is craziness. It is too similar because it is Bart Ruins Christmas. I can't go D. It's better than D. Oh my god. You and Genda, my little fucking anarchists. Don't tell me nothing, he says. I'm going C on this one. Too easy to sit down and learn a lesson about fucking Christmas, I think. It's about being good and not stealing and not starting fires. Up next, another quick one, another D. All singing, all dancing. This is a clip show about all the musical stuff in the show's history. The framing device where they rent a Clint Eastwood movie, but it turns out to be a musical, is good, is okay. Like, the framing devices for all the clip shows are okay, but they're still clip shows. So that's a quick one. We can just do that. Bart Carney. This is the one where Homer and Bart become Carnies. I like this one. I like the ending where they out Carney the Carnies, and then Homer feels bad, so he wants to let them back in. Is good. Release the spit valve. Wiggum looking for a bribe. I think B. I think it's a very solid B. It's a very watchable episode. Yeah, Wiggum looking for the bribe. Skinner trying to get the knife to stab his mother, which is great. Sorry, Mr. Tamsarian, excuse me. Please pay attention to your lore. This is one of the last really good ones for me. The Joy of Sect. This is the leader episode. I think there's an argument to be made that is perhaps slightly on the nose. It's a fairly straightforward cult episode. I love the spotlight being shined on the lads as they try and leave the presentation. I think that's really good. Marge freaking out at the beans with the face on them. And of course, the great visual of the leader flying away with the money bags. It's very on the nose, but it kind of doesn't matter because they nail the jokes enough that it's okay. It doesn't matter that it's all on the nose. It's good. Do you know what I mean? Zig going A. Zig going very spicy on this one. Somebody goes B. A. I mean, I really like this one. I do think this is like the last great one. Jenda says A as well. I think I could be talked into A. The little bastard brainwashing kid. I do like this one. Lovejoy burning down the church as well is great. I'll go A. I'll go A on this one. I like this one. The Joy of Sect. Okay. An episode I remember really liking as a kid that did not hold up at all when I rewatched it recently. Das Boos, which is the Lord of the Flies parody. Otto crashes the bus. The kids land on an island. They argue about who ate all the food, and there's some okay bits in it. The fruit race is probably the most notable thing. Racing the banana, the orange, the apple that causes the accident. Yeah, I mean, Jinder, you pointed out a couple times. They really ran out of endings in this season. I think it's pretty bad. I actually don't like the homework computer stuff. It's just so basic. It's just so kind of he's dumb in a really uninteresting, kind of unclever kind of way. Bill Gates buying him out, I guess, is kind of funny at the end. C, I don't think it's as good as those other C's. I mean, the Coyote episode, Grandpa versus Sexual Inadequacy, I don't know. This is one I would skip. This is a skipper for me. I would not watch this if I was on a rewatch. I think I'll okay, I'll go D. We have shockingly few D's, so I should probably go D anyway. Either way, it's not making the top of the pile. Oh, I've accidentally lost my season 9 list here. The Last Temptation of Crust. This is an episode of two halves. This is the one where Krusty is like announces his retirement because he's not edgy enough, but then he becomes popular as an edgy comedian. I don't know about this one. Like, I like the Canyonero. I sang the Canyonero song many times during Hit and Run. Yeah, this is probably the first weak Krusty episode. I don't think it's anything at all compared to the Glory ones. Yeah, Jay Leno sucks. He's all over the episode. It's not D. I don't think I can. I don't think it's terrible, and I don't think it's D. It is a nice. It is a nice parable. It is their version. It is basically the Simpsons version of Network. They probably have a couple of them, but it's their version of Network where the jaded guy becomes popular for being jaded, and then because he becomes popular, he's no longer the cool outcast cynic. I like that, and Don't You Hate Pants is a good bit, so we'll go see on that one. Alright, Last Temptation of Crust. Dumbbell Indemnity. Helen Hunt is Moe's girlfriend. They do an insurance scam. Because all Moe does is spend money on the woman. It's pretty weak. I do like Homer fucking up the insurance scam really bad and then going to jail. Yeah, I don't like this one. Homer is good. I do like and the scene where he jumps out of the car and rolls back into the car is very good. Yeah, it's hard to muster any care for the season 9 episodes. It's just so going through the motions. It's so like we're doing season 9 just because there's like 2 or 3 episodes in it that are really good. But I'm gonna put this in D. I'd never watch this episode. Yeah, the escape with the book is good, but I feel like this one has like 2 gags and all the Mo stuff I don't like at all. There's a common thread, and there's I referenced last week I think the episode where Mo befriends Maggie. There's a common thread in the weaker seasons of The Simpsons where like all the Mo episodes are like really kind of like deadpan and like legitimately depressing and not jokingly depressing. And this one's like he's just kind of like pathetically kind of spending all his money on a woman because he doesn't have anything else in his life, and it's just yeah, I'm not into that one. Lisa the Simpson. This is the one where she's worried she's going to turn stupid because she's the Simpson gene. Good enough. Watchable, not D. I don't think D, but not much higher than C, I don't think. I like the ending with all the stupid, all the characters that look somewhat like Homer that are all morons. I like that a lot. Pretty weak Lisa episode. But Lisa by the numbers, kind of, worried she isn't smart enough, ashamed of being a Simpson, that's C. That's C. There's nothing offensive about it to make it go to D, but it's a fairly standard episode. Talked about this one a little bit last week. This Little Wiggy. This is when Bart and Ralph go on the play date. Again, because it's season 9, a lot of the Ralph jokes are like really low-hanging fruit, and they simultaneously portray him as really cute and well-meaning and someone Bart should be friends with. And when he and Bart do become friends, it is nice and there are good jokes. But it's just it's an episode I wish that came like 2 seasons earlier. If this was in season 7 and they were firing on all cylinders and they had that crew writing it, it could have been one of the best episodes ever. It's actually kind of frustrating. It's like exactly, it's just not clever enough. It's a really great premise for an episode, but it's just not clever enough. It's just not sharp enough. And so, like, again, this is another classic example of I enjoyed it when I was a kid, and I watch it back now, and I'm just like, oh, it's just like the Ralph and Homer, the stupid characters. As you get further into the show, the humor just is so bottom of the barrel with them, and I think this is a solid episode that could have been great. The Leprechaun ending wouldn't be in it. That's yeah. I think we mentioned that last week. It's like that's how you know it's season 9 and not season 7. Simpson tied Homer in the Navy. They just did an episode at the end of season 8 where it was characters in the military. I like the dinner scene where Homer's reaching for the peas with the knife, and the earring stuff with Bart. It's there's a lot in season 9 where I'm just kind of like, it's not offensive enough to go to D, but it's not really that good. It's My First Day at the end is good. Speaking to the Penguins is good. Yeah, I don't know. Firing the captain out of the torpedo. I wouldn't have it at D, but I think it's yet another C. I couldn't put it at B. Do you know what I mean? Let me see here. Trouble with Trillions. This is the $1 trillion bill episode, Cuba. I think this one's fun enough. It's kind of Burns and Homer joined up on a caper. Yeah, it's really solid. This is another one where you might almost confuse it with an earlier episode from like maybe season 8 thereabouts or something like that, where it's a little bit wacky. You know, they're going to communist Cuba, giving Fidel $1 trillion bill, but it hits just enough that I think it's out of. I think it's definitely not the. Oh, Zig, very harsh. Zig's still a C for him. To be fair, I can't recall too many great gags out of it. I will say that. The Mission Impossible stuff with the photo booth is good. Fidel keeping the trillion is good. I'm drawing a blank on a lot of the rest of it. I mean, I do the usual. Yeah, going back up to the. I don't think it's. Yeah, it's not on the level with these bees. I don't think so. These streams get easier the later you go, because you can compare them to what's already on the tier, and that does make it go a lot easier. This next one's very easy. This is a terrible episode of The Simpsons. Girly Edition. This is the kids' news thing where the kids have a news show, and Lisa is deadpan serious, and Bart does sappy cry. Oh, it's terrible. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. That one is a real, like, what is this show anymore moment. I mean, Bart's people, like, I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me, you know. Wait, is Mojo in this episode? Yeah, he is. Yeah, okay. I like Mojo. I like Mojo. Not enough to bump this to C, but Pray for Mojo is a great bit. Pray for Mojo is a great bit, but I can't go higher than D. It's one of those things where it's just like the central plot is just so bare bones and so shallow. Bouncing back here a little bit, Trash of the Titans. This is the U2 cameo episode. This is where Homer beefs with the Rubbish Men. Lots of great stuff in this. Homer rattling cages and rattling the parrot. Homer getting beaten up backstage at the U2 concert on the big screen. Potato Man is great. What's his name? The head of the rubbish collection saying you're screwed and walking off the stage. Dessert Dragon says D. Wow. I will say that I don't love the song. Do you know what I mean? I'm not a big fan of the song, but other than that, I think it's very funny. I really like this. This is a real last hurrah, this episode. Yeah. Let me see. D. Okay, we're getting pretty. My gut was a B, and we're getting pretty consistent Bs. So I will go on that one. Yeah, Agenda saying there it took season 10 and 11, which are terrible. Like, season 10, you fire that up in like the first 2 or 3 episodes, you're like, oh my god. And I remember thinking that at the time. I was like, these are terrible. And then people have obviously gone back and kind of crafted their narratives or written their dissertations on, well, this episode and this episode and this person left and this person left. So people have tried to dissect it. Like season 9, season 8 especially, they were coasting on a lot of momentum. A lot of it is legitimately great, but some of those dud episodes were kind of just like, well, whatever, who cares? You know, they're still good. Let me see here. King of the Hill is next. This is the one where Homer becomes like a sort of sponsored athlete, for lack of a better term, for Apple nutrient bars. And so he has to climb like this Widow's Peak mountain. I actually like this one despite the zany premise. I like the bit where he uses up all the oxygen tanks at the base of the mountain. him daydreaming as he slides down the mountain. Gaim, what's a Gaim? Getting to the top and finding the guy that Grandpa took a bite out of. Zig, wow, D, really? I love the joke where he sucks on the oxygen and then the camera pans out and he's at the base of the mountain. I think that's great. First half is a little bit slow because it's kind of a generic Homer getting in shape montage. Like, they waste a lot of time on that. But I think this is C. I think this is a pretty reliable C. Up next, Lost Our Lisa. Like, this one just feels so. I'm not willing to call this full-on zombie Simpsons because it's not that bad, but it's just so through the motions. Do you know what I mean? It's like Lisa wants to go to a museum, oh she can, then Homer sneaks her in. It's just like so late in the game to be doing such a basic episode. Bart sticking the stuff to his face isn't amusing enough visual. The kid they see at the ER with the tap stuck in his head is good. I like again, because I kind of like the simplicity of it, I like the Lisa on the bus stuff. If you answer me these questions 3, you know, encountering comic book guy on the bus. Yeah, it's I mean, I can't rank it very highly because it's such a incredibly basic retread of Homer and Lisa, and the Bart stuff is completely forgettable. The cherry picker is good. I do like the cherry picker. I'm torn on this. D seems kind of harsh. Yeah, it's really unfortunate that I think this is the last Phil Hartman episode. I don't feel compelled to put it in C, so I'm gonna have to go D. Feels a little bit harsh. I mean, I agree, Zig, that it does seem harsh, but also when I look at the C's, I'm like, well, it's not as good as any of them. So, do you know what I mean? It's like if you were to ask me what would I rather watch, this or what's the worst C ranked episode? It's probably the 138th episode Spectacular because it's a clip show. I would rather watch that than this. So I think that's. Do you know what I mean? I think that's. I like Homer knocking on Mr. Burns' window when he's looking for Lisa, but. Yeah. And the last one here. Oh, this one stinks. Natural Born Kissers. This is yet another Homer and Marge aren't fucking episode. So they have their nude frolicking. There's a whole bunch of Austin Powers jokes in this one where they're like, their stuff is blocked out by props. And then the B plot is like Lisa and Bart go like treasure hunting. Again, kind of like the Reverse Vampires episode. It's like such throwaway stuff. Oh, excuse me. I will say about the ending of this one. I do like the alternate ending for Casablanca that they find. But I don't think it's a strong enough gag to elevate it. I'm pretty confident on D on this one. Maybe, you know, C for Jeddah, but yeah, I think everyone else is fairly thoroughly angry on it. And the thing about the C and D difference is that you're splitting hairs really at the end of the day. All right, let's do a very quick rundown here before we log off. So we'll start at the bottom. Actually, let's start at the bottom. This is a more fun way to do it. Yeah, D filled out nicely, so D tier, Natural Born Kissers, Lost Our Lisa, Girly Edition, Dumbbell Indemnity, Das Bus, All Singing, All Dancing, the fucking Mall Angel episode, the 2 Apostrophe Pentalons, Treehouse of Horror with the Fly, Sherry Bobbins, Lisa and Nelson, Homer Palooza, the romance-focused clip show, and Round Springfield with Bleeding Gums Murphy passing away. Then on the C tier, we've got Homer Climbing the Mountain, $1 Trillion Bill, Homer in the Navy, This Little Wiggy, Lisa the Simpson, Last Temptation of Crust, Miracle on Evergreen Terrace, Lisa's Sax, The Principal and the Pauper, C tier, The Secret War of Lisa Simpson, the spin-off showcase, the Laddie episode, My Sister, My Sitter, the Pretzel Wagon, the FBI crossover, the Johnny Cash Coyote episode, Treehouse of Horror with Bart's twin, Treehouse of Horror with Homer Cubed, the PTA Disbands, Lisa's Wedding, Homer vs. Paddy and Selma, Grandpa vs. Sexual Inadequacy, Bart's Girlfriend, 138 Spectacular, and Lisa's Rival. That is the C rank. The B rank, Fear of Flying, Bart's Comet, Bart vs. Australia, Springfield Confidential, Lisa the Vegetarian, Last Gleamings of Sideshow Bob, Two Bad Neighbors, Class Struggle in Springfield, Bart the Think, Lisa the Iconoclast, Apu's Citizenship Test, Homer's Boxing, The Burlesque House, Homer and Burns Climb the Mountain, Skinner and Krabappel Make Love in a Closet, Burns Goes Broke, Mr. Sparkle, The Cartridge Family, Homer Coaching the Pee Wee Football Team, Marge the Realtor, Bart the Carney, and Thrash of the Titans. What are the takes so far? Homer Cube looks way better than the C tier stuff. Disagree. I know we said we might relitigate it, but why is the Coyote episode C tier? So the argument for that at the time was that it's effectively a very beautifully dressed episode about, oh, Homer and Marge have a fight, but then it turns out they're soulmates. And it's very well-worn territory, and it's very well done, but I think it's very well done. It's very well done in terms of how great it is, but it's very well-worn territory. That's a proper phrase I should have used. Alright, let's go back up to A. Snowboy has a grievance. First of all, I agree with Zig. On reading this, the B one is probably the most controversial, because what you have to ask yourself about B is, does any of this warrant an upgrade to the A tier to be discussed next week? And I will say the controversial one was Bart working the back house. I don't think that goes up. I think everything's fine where it is. A tier: Bart of Darkness, Itchy and Scratchy Land, Sideshow Bob Roberts, Homer Badman, A Star Is Burns, 26 Dalmatians, Mr. Burns, Who Shot Mr. Burns 1 and 2, Home Diddly Home, Bart Sells His Soul, Marge Be Not Proud, The Day the Violence Died, Troy McClure and Selma, Bart Road Trip episode, Flying Hellfish episode, Summer of 2 featuring 4, or whatever way that sentence goes, Larry Burns, Flanders Hurricane episode, Itchy, Pooty, and Scratchy, Frasier episode, Homer vs. New York, and the Cult episode. Okay, so Snowboy says get the Cult episode out of A. Deserter says the Rodney Dangerfield episode. So I honestly, I think the Rodney Dangerfield episode is A. Is great. I was shocked to hear people say it was A and arguably S. I don't think the Rodney Dangerfield episode is A. My gut doesn't say it's A. Pee Wee and Trash of the Titans B. Yes. Yeah. Those were tough ones, but I'm solid on those ones. Cult could go down. Cult episode is nowhere near as good. You know what? I think I'd actually kind of forgotten in the half hour it's been. No, I'll put Cult down, but I'm not putting the Burlesque House up. I just don't think that episode is that good. I will put the Cult down. I think that's actually fair. I think that's perfectly fair. Realistically, the Cult episode isn't getting very far next week anyway. Well, Snowboy, you've gotten your way because the cult isn't A, so Bart Fink isn't A either. So there's that. Okay, so then S tier is King Size Homer, Treehouse of Horror with the Shinning, Lisa on Ice, Homer the Great, Maggie's and Maggie Makes 3, Homie the Clown, Lemon of Troy, Radioactive Man, Mother Simpson, Team Homer, Homer the Smithers, 22 short films about Springfield, You Only Move Twice, Millhouse Divided, Homer's Phobia, Homer versus the, 13th Amendment? 8th Amendment? Whatever it is. And Homer's Enemy. Lads, you're not getting a better S tier than that. That S tier is basically flawless. I know I had some resistance on King Size Homer. I love King Size Homer. I won't be moved on that. The rest of these, I don't think. I think for a democracy here, we've done a great job on these. I think Maggie Makes 3 has to be. Has to be up there. Oh my god. I think we've got some contentious A and B stuff here, but I think the S tier is where everything needs to be. Bit of streamer says he'd put Sideshow Bob Roberts in S. I came on here and said that was arguably my favorite Bob episode, and people were very angry at me. So that was one where I would probably put it higher, but I think the people won out on that one. Did I put that A though, didn't I? I put it A. Did I put it A? I should have put it A. It is A. I did it. There it is. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So I think we're mostly good to go here. Okay. Let me go down and save this list before I forget. Oh, you bastards. We actually went like an hour without a technical issue. Alright. They fight. Alright. Alright. So I will save this. What date is it? 11th of May. Alright. There we go. Alright. I will post this on my Twitter so you can all pore over it and examine it in great detail. So next week, you're not getting a surefire S next week, Zig, because that's not how it's going to work. Next week, I'm going to take all the S's and all the A's from this week and last week. We're going to put them all into one list, and we're going to do this all again to crown the King of the Kings. And there will be one S tier. There's one episode that is standing atop all these other ones. And you're going to have to be here to fight your corner. There is one S tier. And then I'll figure out numbers for the rest of it later. Because I'm going to have to do my sums and see what is what. Everyone, we've gone quite late here. I'm going to wrap it up here very quickly because I'm absolutely exhausted. Thank you everyone for watching. I'm going to hopefully next week the big finale goes a lot quicker than this one because I am tired. But get ready for next week and get ready to fight your corner because you're going to need to do it. Thank you for watching, my friends. It's been great debating with you all. Thank you for being so active in the chat. And I will talk to you all tomorrow for a wrestling watch along. Bye bye.